Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 331st edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call so far, we have Andy Patterson and also Gabe Lewis. I'm back, everybody, back with a bang into the hot seat. Thanks to the hater Dave Lowe back for stepping in. Well done to him last week. He did a great job, as he always does. Must have been knackered. He hasn't come back this week. He might turn up at some point, waiting for rapping Rob Kelly as well. He said he'll be on within the hour. So keep an eye out for Rob Kelly. Keep an eye out for Jason Chukwu in the chat as well. Welcome to you all. Haven't looked in the chat. Sure, there's a few people knocking about, ready to talk about the big action of the weekend. We'll be going on to Manny Pacquiao later on. Love a Manny Pacquiao fight week. How much longer has he got to go? That's the question. Will Keith Thurman finally end the legend once and for all? Belly of the week's questions, one or two of them. Bit of Amir Khan, bit of Ray Vargas if you have to. We'll get on to that in due course. Andy, first of all, though, let's start off over in the O2 Arena in Greenwich. Fair play. In true Frank Warren style, the main event went on a little bit late for my liking. I was hoping that more people on BT Sport would be able to see this one. I mean, well, it could have been worse. If we were saying off air, if Liam Williams hadn't got rid of your man in the second round, if he'd have gone the full 12 round, then it would have been possibly knocking on midnight until Daniel Dubois and Nathan Gorman got together. I thought last week, well, I wasn't on last week, but I was talking to a few of the guys here and there, and I said it was a 50-50. Couldn't really split them, but I just about sided with Dubois. For me, Andy, from about after the first round, it became pretty much one-way traffic very quickly, and I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't expecting that either. I did pick Dubois as well. I can't remember if I said it would go if he went out on points or if he would maybe stop him late. On that performance and showing, he was more than justified. The fact that he was the betting favourite going in. Certainly, a lot of people can say that it was too soon. It wasn't really too soon. It was the right fight to be made at the right time, I think. But to be honest, even though it was a 50-50 fight, everybody thought going in. As you say, I mean, I just think Dubois made the technical changes, especially early in the fight, because I think it was round one when I think he kind of stayed in the pocket too long after kind of getting his shots off, and I think Gorman kind of hit him with a couple of right uppercuts. So he made the change. He just kind of he popped the jab off and kind of stayed out of distance and stuff, and just gradually kind of wore him down straight, long raking jabs and strong right hands. Worked the body as well pretty well, and even when he had the Gorman hurt at times or even landed a kind of heavy shot, he wouldn't kind of rush his work. He would just basically kind of be patient. So even 21-year-old, that was a wee bit kind of old savvy there, shall we say. But I was really, really impressed with Dubois there last night, and probably now makes him probably top 5, probably top 4 maybe in the country, behind like so obviously Joshua Fury and trying to think who else at the minute. But yeah, really good performance. Thing with Gorman is, I don't know if it was just me that noticed it, but it looks like he forgot how to throw a jab, purely because maybe Dubois took it away from him. He knew he couldn't beat him to the jab, really. It was just as I say, it was a long, straight, hammer right kind of jab and that. So it was really, really a good performance by Dubois. Really, very, very impressive.
Yeah, on Gorman, I'm wondering whether the occasion might have get to him. He hadn't fought on this stage before, but then 21-year-old Dubois, he's been built up by Frank, and his jab was excellent. His left hook to the body was good as well. He just looked like a physical beast in there. Gorman appeared to panic, especially after the cut, which is only natural, and he was getting pushed back. He wasn't throwing the jab. They'd obviously told him to throw the left hook, but that's all he was doing. He was leading with the left hook, and he can come again. But one fight they were talking about, Andy, obviously Joe Joyce got a win over Bryant Jennings on the undercard, and Frank Warren said afterwards that he wanted to make Joe Joyce against Nathan Gorman. For some reason, I was thinking, that fight doesn't really do anything for me.
No.
And would Joe Joyce's people want to fight someone like Gorman? Joyce has just beaten a world-level sort of contender like Brian Jennings, someone who's been there and done it. He's probably hovering in around the 15 mark, 20, whatever, but he's a good fighter. And Joyce is talking about Manuel Charr, Trevor Bryan, guys who are in and around the top echelons of the WBA. Is he going to want to fight against a guy who's just been knocked out for a British title? And I think Frank's off the mark on that one.
Well, I'll put it this way. Even off that last night, just on Gorman Joyce and that, everything off Dubois fight there last night, I mean, there was a question mark, could Dubois take a shot? I think we saw there last night, either Gorman can't really hit too hard, or Dubois has really got a really strong granite chin, because he took a few shots, didn't even blink and kept coming. So you would think that Joyce, everything off that fight there last night, that Gorman would be absolutely destroyed. But I don't know if you want to jump into Joyce at the minute and stuff, but obviously had his problems there last night. Discussing two scorecards. I think like some of like a 116, 112 is probably kind of fair enough. 115, 113. Jennings gave obviously a lot of problems, and obviously a fighter like Joyce, and as I said it last week, he's a kind of poor man's version of kind of George Foreman, just kind of like meanders forward, plods forward and stuff. You give the guy movement and stuff, you will give him problems. And he had it there last night as well, even though he had his successes and stuff. But no, a lot of people obviously not impressed. The thing is with Joyce that he'll get the job done, and I'm not really in that camp that's really kind of like hates on his style and stuff. And I did think it was a wee bit kind of overboard last night, but he will get it. He will get the job done to a point and at a level. But it's just he is what he is, and obviously when he's up in class, he's going to struggle. But off that there last night, it was a decent one. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, shout out to the guys in the chat. Familiar faces there. Spartacus the Great, Banana Rama, MB, Disco Dave as well. Dave Smith said Warren wants to slow down Joyce and give him more learning fights. I understand that, but at 33, I'd say his people want to push onwards. I don't think they'll be looking for the Gorman fight. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Dave Smith also says Dubois corner said to him, don't knock him out with one shot, beat him up. I picked up on that as well. That was good work from the corner. They got the tactics spot on. They didn't like the way Dubois was winging away with the shots. They wanted him to slow down, beat Gorman up rather than trying to knock him out. And that's often when the knockout comes, as in this case. He was relaxing through the jab, brought the right hand over the top as well and caught Gorman with a peach of a shot. And Gorman as well took it like a man afterwards, said that Dubois was the better man. He had a few issues in the lead up, Gorman, obviously personal family issues, and he can definitely come back again. He's a good skilled fighter, but as for Dubois, that was his night. Disco Dave said it's a cheap headline fight for Frank, the Joyce versus Gorman fight. It is indeed. It is indeed. I'm not a big Joyce fan. I've never really been that impressed with him. I think he looks like he's punching underwater, but he does have definite qualities about him. He can maintain a decent pace for the 12 rounds, which is always a bonus at the heavyweights. These guys who throw sometimes 40, 50 punches around, if that. And Joyce can maintain a pace. He attacks the body as well. If somebody throws with him, I do worry that he's maybe a little bit too slow. The right hand is a problem. Whether his left hand's too low, Adam Booth no doubt would have seen this and he wants to pick up on this. Brian Stavern kept catching him with right hands. Bryant Jennings as well caught him with right hands. Stavern was too fat and gone. And Jennings, I don't think quite had the pop, to be honest, Andy.
He couldn't maintain it really as well. I said it last night. He's got this kind of sparring partner mentality and stuff. Okay, there was at times there last night he was landing some really good shots, but and they were eye catching, but they were just like single shots at times. And there was a couple of combinations thrown in at some points and stuff, but I just don't think he could maintain it. Whereas Joyce is obviously he's coming forward. Okay, a lot of Joyce's punches probably were getting blocked, hitting gloves and stuff like that, but not all of them. So obviously they're going to maintain the aggressor. Like the aggressor, but the 118, 110. It's just like it always seems to get thrown in there just for just to make sure, and we move on again for it. But it's just shit. I don't know how often we're going to get these kind of shitty scorecards and stuff. But it's just like Jennings just kind of came, done his best and stuff like that, and got paid. That was it. People look at that scorecard and say, as long if never really done much, which isn't kind of really true. But no, as I say, I just think if he'd able to kind of maintain it a wee bit and stuff like that, he might have forced matters a wee bit. But I just don't think he had it.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of his career now, Jennings. He's obviously come over. The scores were ridiculous. I thought, as Andy said, they were far too wide. But Joyce, that level below the top level, maybe even that level again, I think he'll have success. He'll be a handful for anybody. But the top guys, you can imagine him getting led a merry dance by somebody who can box, someone like a Tyson Fury. And the likes of Deontay Wilder, you think he's going to go 12 rounds without landing that right hand on Joe Joyce. Once he does, it's curtains. But that level below, I think Joyce can be competitive. He can win one of these interim belts. And he's probably got the beating of Manuel Char. Trevor Bryan, never seen him, couldn't tell you a thing about him, don't even know what colour he is, whether he's a southpaw or an orthodox, whether he's a dwarf. No idea, Andy, to be honest. Have you seen any Trevor Bryan in action?
I think I have. He's the Canadian guy. I think he's a Canadian. But no, I was going to say, actually, I don't know if you mentioned it or if you want to discuss it now, but obviously, Dubois being 21 and stuff like that, and Warren, I think, reading between the lines, didn't really want to make this fight. So I think obviously prefer to have kept it at a later point. Maybe just kind of like want to bring Dubois along just slightly more kind of slowly. But he wouldn't make that a fight with Joyce and Dubois next, would he? I don't think he will.
No.
Maybe they will with the Gorman fight. I don't think he will with Dubois. What do you think?
I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. MB saying in the chat, Andy, Dubois against Bacoli. Well, Bacoli, of course, has now signed with Matchroom, hasn't he? So there's a spanner in the works straight away.
Has he? Right. Okay. Who else you got? You got Hughie Fury, I suppose, coming off that great win off against Sam Peter.
I'd love to see Hughie Fury in the mix, but another one. He has these, illusions of grandeur. I think he's a decent fighter, Hughie, but he's not setting the world alight. I'd love to see him go over to BT Sport, mixed with the likes of Dubois, Joyce, Gorman. It's perfect for him. But they're going to keep him, aren't they, beating up these mediocre guys and trying to pretend that he's world level. Hughie, I just don't think he is at the moment, and that's okay. He's still young, he's still learning, he's still progressing and developing.
Or how about they bring the Nightmare back in by way after his performance last night?
Oh, God.
You
know what, Andy, actually, you have segued perfectly.
I had a thought on all that stuff for a second there, if you don't mind me cutting in for just a second. I didn't see the card, so I'm not really... I read that the Jennings fight was pretty clear cut on who won, but I felt like, when you were talking about a Huey and talking about levels there on how you have a fighter who's a decent fighter, but it's kind of strange to me because there's no mid-tier people. I mean, they're either you've got Fury and Wilder, and I don't know if you still want to put Gage at the top. I mean, I think in terms of maybe draw potential, he could be in there. But then after those top 2, 3, you maybe have Luis Ortiz, and then it just kind of fucking drops off the map where you've got all these other guys that are there, but it's really clear and plain to see that they're not going to be competitive if they face those top-notch opponents. I mean, I just don't see any way that they can, and I keep hearing and people talk about how the heavyweight division is really great and it's back.
Well, just on that,
as shit as it was a few years back, there's just more competition at those little bit lower levels, and the top of the mountain is really fun to watch guys and guys that are just they're going to put lower level competitors out of action just because of how good they are. So there's really like a void there of really good challengers to the top 2, 3, 4 people.
Just to segue again, Steve, sorry if you want to speak about Hellenius and that, but there was one Otto Wallin, the big Swedish heavyweight.
Yes.
He was meant to fight BG Flores last night. I forget what card it was on, actually. I don't know if it was a Showtime card or whatever it was, but the fight got pulled at 11th hour because Flores got denied a license by the commission. So I don't know what happened there. I need to go and try and find some info and stuff like that. So Wallin's like kind of highly ranked in that as well with some of the bodies for whatever it's worth.
Maybe they'd listen to some of Flores' commentary, Andy, him not knowing how to cut the ring off, and they thought he was a medical danger to himself.
Maybe, yeah. Or fantasising about that time he fell naked. So that's just some heavyweight news there. But obviously Tony Yoka had a win last night as well in France.
Tony Yoka had a win. We'll come to that in a minute. And also, I'm going to come to the BT Sport undercard to you shortly, Andy. But I want to bring Gabe in on the fight that you've mentioned, Gerald Washington against Robert Hellenius over on, was it Fox? I think it was PBC iced. Anyway. Iced. He got iced. What's the story then, Gabe? Hellenius, he was hurt. He was absolutely tired out. And he took a right hand. See you later. Nose was blooded by both of the guys. They're absolutely bollocks, Gabe. It was like two big, slow tree trunks swaying in the wind. I mean, why on earth are we being fed this type of stuff, Gabe? Apparently you're a Hellenius fan. Surely you're trolling.
No, he's not trolling. I
have been for ages. I made a fucking signature whenever we used to perform back in the days with the Nordic Nightmare on there.
On it.
It's been going on for years. I don't know how anyone who comes on this podcast or listens to it could actually think that anyone would be a tremendous supporter of Robert Hellenius. I mean, I don't know. There was a point in time where I thought that, he could be in the mix as a potential challenger, but that was whenever Vlad Klitschko was still reigning atop the mountain. And so, really, that's all anybody was going to be at that point in time.
And then they fucking robbed Del Boy. Then you fucking hid for about a fortnight, you cunt.
Everyone was so mad about that shit for weeks.
That was one of the most blatant robberies of the last half century, man. I'm fucking kidding you. It was just horrendous.
You know, the only thing that I can compare it to is James Toney and oh fuck, who was that guy that he was still, I think, at middleweight then. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I know you're talking about. Oh, come at me. Oh shit, what's his name?
What are you talking about, Dave?
Dave Tiberi.
Yeah, Dave Tiberi. Yep, that was, to me, that remains to be the all-time most blatant robbery. But the Hellenius over Del Tesoro was, War Tesoro was probably just as bad. But I mean, I don't know, Steve, to answer your question, I think that they're looking for somebody to present a credible threat to be an opponent for Wilder and for Tyson Fury. And you know, they were doing the same with Anthony Joshua. I think it's exactly the reason why we're being fed it is because of what I said before. There's no apparent challengers. You have your top 2 or 3, however you want to put it. And
surely they're going to recycle Gerald Washington again for Wilder, for fuck's sake.
And Luis Ortiz is there as a legitimate threat. I don't know. We'll see in his next fight what he's got left. But he's getting to the point where this may be his last big shot. You know, what else are they where are they gonna find the guys to challenge? Like, if they continue at the rate they're at, they're gonna all have to fight. And whenever that happens, somebody's money is going down the toilet. So they're building towards it because they know it's eventually gonna have to happen. It absolutely has to happen. But at this point, like, if it does happen, there's nothing else to do. The heavyweight champion of the world, after the top 3 or top 2, however you want to slice it, is just going to be. It's going to go back to the exact same thing we saw before with Klitschko, where there was a bunch of guys that were potential challengers, but that was as good as it got. No one ever watched anything and really said, you know, maybe Sasha Povetkin, maybe he was the, you know, he could land a big punch and spark out Klitschko. That could happen. But at that particular point in time, before that fight occurred, like, nobody really gave it much of a chance of happening. And when Vladimir was really performing well before he started kind of slipping a little bit, then nobody was really gonna ever get a real benefit of the doubt in terms of beating them. And that's what you see again here is there's such a lack of upper level challengers that they're doing this shit to build them up. I have no doubt.
So Gabe, you think then, Gabe, that legitimately we could see a situation where, similar to, you mentioned Klitschko there, whenever he fought the likes of Tony Thompson twice, we could legitimately see Gerald Washington maybe end up fighting someone like Wilder again for a second time?
Possibly. I don't see why. I mean, if you can tell me some better options, I'd be all for it. But
you can't have that as an option. I mean, to be honest, if you look at Washington's best wins, it's a fucking graveyard. I mean, seriously. I mean, Jason Garvin.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, Andy. I completely agree with what you're saying. But from a promoter point of view, you know, keeping things in house, keeping things where you have control over the marketing and the way the public gets fed it, then there's not a lot of options out there. There's just not a lot of anything out there besides just garbage. You know, I feel like that's what you're going to end up seeing. And if not Gerald Washington, they're going to feed him a few more fights and let him get a few more wins under his belt, and then bring him back up, and then maybe say he's ready for it again. And you know what you're going to see? You're going to get that whole, well, he challenged before, but this time it's revenge. And
he was outboxing Wilder at times in that first fight.
Here,
I mean, I think that's the whole thing of it, is that there's just not anybody that you can really look at and say, at this exact moment in time, this guy can face these guys and pose a credible threat. Everyone, it's the heavyweight fucking division of the world. Everybody's got a potential to have a knockout victory, you know, in stunning fashion. I mean, we just saw it. but the potential of that happening, the odds are astronomical.
Think about it, right? So Wilder's knocked out Washington before, right? Washington knocks out Robert Helenius, potentially get himself in the frame. Meanwhile, Abin Kodnaki is actually fighting Big Nips. So if Big Nips wins, hey, I don't know, can you imagine Big Nips having to rematch Wilder? Holy fuck, man! Can you imagine that? Oh,
Big Nips ain't gonna beat Kodnaki though, is he? Thankfully, I don't think so. He's shot to shit, man. Areola.
He could. I think he could.
No way.
Call me crazy, but I can see if he clips him early and gets him stung, he could go in and that's an indictment of Blocky too. I mean, I don't think either one of them are that good, but I think if you talk about guys that have been at the higher level, I mean, Areola's been there and he does have some power. If he stings him early, it's done.
Nah, Kodnaki throws far too many punches for Areola, I think.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Big Nips, he's done. I mean, he's no fought anybody since Wilder, which is how far back's that? That must be 5 years.
That's exactly what we're talking about. These two guys, we're having a discussion.
Yeah, but Kodnaki's like close to his prime.
But who thinks either fucking one of those guys are going to pose a threat to Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, maybe Joshua, Luis Ortiz? You know what I mean? Like, I don't see it happening. It's just not going to happen.
Chris Areola's greatest performance was after the Vitaly Klitschko fight when he was swearing that much that HBO had to tell him to tone it down a bit.
That was great. Was he crying too? Wasn't he crying at that?
I can't fucking believe it. But seriously though, boys, I mean, did you see the state of them pair last night? Washington and Helenius. Yeah. I mean, Washington, he was that knackered. I mean, he brought a new meaning to the term slumped on his stool, man. His arse was beaming that stool up like a spacecraft. He couldn't get on it quick. He could not get on it quick enough. I mean, is this the level like that rat? Seriously.
Oh, Jesus.
That's fucking brilliant. Well, I'll put it this way. Did you see Helenius when he got knocked out, by the way? He got hit in slow motion. You actually see him, right? His eyes didn't close until he was like halfway done. And he hits the fucking bottom rope. And you see, like, say, the chicks, like, say, the ring car girls in the corner, and they're up there going mental and stuff. And you're saying to yourself, it's always true, eh? Champion and pussy always goes together.
Washington went straight over to him though, Andy, and I thought they should have kept him around because he's the only big enough lump who can pick up someone like Helenius if he's been knocked out cold. How are they going to lift him? They're going to have to get one of those cranes, you know, when those people die and they're about 800 pounds and they have to carry them out the roof and stuff.
Whenever I saw that knockout, I watched it for a minute there, and I don't think it wasn't that Helenius was just. I mean, he was hurt for sure. But I don't think he was like dead out. That fat fucker just laid there because he was so goddamn tired he couldn't fucking pull himself off the goddamn canvas. It was really bad.
Oh, like, he's a pathetic mess, man.
It was like, I mean, he was stung, but he just laid there, and it seemed like, you know, they kind of put the ringside camera around so they could see his face a little bit, and he was just laying there like. I don't think I'm ever going to get up because I'm so goddamn tired from it was just it was awful. I did not enjoy watching that. Well, because Helenius got knocked out, but because it was just a trap.
Before we move on, the best thing I think about the fight was the nicknames. We've got the Nordic Nightmare, which was Helenius. Quite literally, he'll have you waking up in cold sweats for a week. Against, I always like this one, El Gallo Negro, the Black Cock. Can't beat Washington with a nickname like El Gallo Negro. So there you go, everybody.
BBD. BBD, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet yours were fit to the end it has, eh?
Right, before we go back onto the BT card, Andy, first of all, Gabe, what about the fight of the night for me? Possibly the fight of the weekend. We all thought that Antonio DeMarco was maybe done, but he put in a stirring performance. 98-92 across the board, he lost to Jamal James. I felt a bit sorry for DeMarco, putting that much effort in, that much energy, and losing by 6 rounds. It's a cruel old sport, Gabe, but Jamal James was the right winner. But fair play to old DeMarco. He's taking too many punches, though. I'd like to see him hang them up soon, maybe, Gabe.
Yeah, I know that you guys were giving me a little bit of hard time last week whenever I said that I expected him to be competitive, and I think last night what you saw was a throwback to what DeMarco had in some of his best performances. I mean, he's never been a guy that's going to go down as one of the greats of all time. He's never really been a real tremendous fighter in terms of overall star power and overall performances and great ability and things of that nature. But I've always enjoyed watching him because he always seemed like a guy that no matter who he was fighting, he really tried to give it his best shot. He retired for a while. I don't know if you guys recall that. He retired for a bit, and then he came back. I forget who it was he fought on a PBC. I think it was a Sunday afternoon card. But it was just, I agree with you, Steve. I think he's about done for. I think he's had enough punishment. And truthfully, he's not going to pull off that many more performances of that nature where he's going to be really competitive, and he's going to end up getting himself in some bad trouble by continuing on if he does. I thought it was a tremendous performance. I thought it was probably it was a really fun fight. I don't know that it was my fight of the evening, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it was good. I thought the scores were a little bit wide. But overall, I mean, it's kind of what I came to expect from Tony DeMarco. A solid fight from a solid fighter. And he's had his ups and downs, and yeah, I hope to see him call it a day too. I don't want to see him go out, getting hurt.
Yeah, they're talking about Jamal James maybe doing something decent at welterweight. They possibly will be able to manoeuvre him, the PBC, into a world title shot, given the nature of the sport at the moment. But he's not great, James. He's exciting to watch, and he definitely has some skills, but he has a lot of flaws as well. He shouldn't really be going life and death, regardless of what the scores say, with someone like Antonio DeMarco. Andy, just briefly, I know you saw the Charles Martin fight against Daniel Martz. Martz is no good. We've seen him knocked out by the likes of, I believe, Luis Ortiz has beaten him before. Charles Martin, he's back with a bang. He's ready to make an assault on world title honours. I think what you might see, actually, Andy, off the top of my head here, is probably Martin fighting Washington next, and the winner of that, which we expect will be Prince Charles, will then maybe go on to get the shot at the likes of Wilder or somebody after the Fury fight.
I suppose, that's another fight that keeps it in-house, PBC fights and stuff. I suppose it was a mismatch anyway going into it. I suppose, on the evidence anyway, I thought it was a mismatch. I read somewhere on the Friday, I think it was getting touted as a mismatch. And to be fair to the big guy, he looked in the mood. He was, especially just before the fight started. He was, you could see it in his face. He was ready to kind of go to action. And to be honest, man, I really don't know. I mean, obviously the Washington fight makes sense now that he mentioned it and stuff. But it's a long road back for him, actually, to be honest with you. But as I say, that guy he was fighting was basically a club fighter. And he dealt with him pretty handily and stuff. I think he dropped him twice or something. Worked the body pretty well with the jab and stuff. But it was a evil left hand that really kind of, I think he didn't knock him out with it. He just kind of basically kind of took the wind right out of him. He tried to kind of get up after 10 and that, but he wouldn't be able to fight on. But yeah, I suppose it's a decent enough knockout, I suppose, but it's a long road back for him.
And I'll keep promising this BT card, but I'm thinking we might as well stick on a heavyweight theme. Andy, you mentioned Tony Yoka earlier, got rid of Alexander Dimitrenko in the third round. It was all about getting Yoka back into action, I think. We don't really know what the situation is about these PEDs. He missed 3 tests, as far as I'm aware. He's had a ban. It just seems to be par for the course at the moment. Might have a little bit of rant about that later. Something's getting under my skin. I was talking about it on Twitter last night as well. But as for Yoka, I like the look of him. He seems to have a bit of a feeble look about him, though. He's quite I know he's a big dude, but he's like a bit of a skinny kind of a guy. I wonder if he'll have the physical strength at the highest level. But either way, I'm looking forward to seeing how he progresses, how he develops. Like Dimitrenko, though, he's pretty much done. Yoka did exactly what he had to do.
Yeah, to be honest, if you look at the ending of the fight, actually, it's not really satisfactory for me. To me, Dimitrenko bailed on that fight. He swallowed it. It was, I think, what it was. I'm sure it was I think it was a straight right hand or a right uppercut, and then it was followed by another right hand and stuff. It looked like a kind of glancing blow, and Dimitrenko goes down. He's just basically he's a cannon fodder now. Look at his record and stuff. It's padded. He's always the guy who's been brought in as a kind of opponent against like Sapulevs and stuff. But no, I said it last week actually. For him coming back after a year fighting him, I suppose I said him stopping him would probably be a statement. But the manner of stoppage for me just wasn't satisfactory. I think he bailed on the fight. But as I say, Yoka's back in the saddle now. It's just he's served his year's ban. The other fighter on the undercard that I've got a lot of time for actually is Suleiman Sissoko, light middleweight and stuff. I think he should be really bit up in his opposition levels. That Jose Paez that was fighting, that just again overmatched. Another Argentinian fighter, again with another padded record, as I say, to the guys last week, and I'm sure Fowler iced him in a couple of rounds or one round and that. And Jaime Munguia has dealt with him, and Baby Bro, Canelo's brother, Ramon, he's dealt with him as well. So I want to see Zoko get stepped up a European level or whatever and stuff, because he is a really good fighter and he's learning all the time and stuff. So sort of kind of go off a heavyweight theme there. But as for Yoka, again, they'll probably take it slow with him. Don't know who they'll probably fight at the minute. Probably bring in Robert Helenius probably, and he gets him back out quick, and probably gets an early knockout as well off last night's evidence.
Yeah, it wasn't the only action in France over the weekend. On Friday night as well, over in Rhône in France, there was an interesting heavyweight contest between Nufel Uata and Tamaz Zadishvili. Not the greatest on paper, 16-3 against 4-11-1. But this was interesting, and it was a 6-rounder that ended in a 3rd round no decision when both boxers were disqualified after the referee gave them 3 warnings each, got fed up and disqualified them both at the same time in the 3rd round. So it ended up in a no decision on both guys' records. So there you go. The referee got that fed up after 3 warnings apiece. He cancelled the fight, said, right, you're both thrown out, you're both disqualified. So there you go. I know Steve Gray was under a bit of flack last night for his performances. He was warning Joyce a lot of the time. Then he gave Jennings a point deduction, and a few people weren't happy about this. But there you go. What about the French referee? He might have disqualified them both. Who knows? Anyway, back onto the heavyweight theme. Something that was annoying me last night. I mentioned it earlier, and this might sound like a bit of a strong thing to say, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Get it off my chest. But the passive acceptance of Jarrell Miller as Tyson Fury's next opponent is negligent for my money. It's like turning a blind eye. They were talking about it on BT Sports last night, just mentioning his name, and it shows a complete lack of concern or seriousness about drug use in the sport. It shows that no matter how much people talk about how bad the PEDs are, about how dangerous they are, it's just all talk. Because to reward someone with a multi-million-dollar payday off the back of failing on 3 accounts, serving a 6-month ban, shows that it doesn't matter if you breach the rules. Doesn't matter. You won't suffer as a result. Your penance will be light. Your sentence, it'll be lenient. People who know me know that I'm all about second chances. People make mistakes, but come on. I mean, come on now, seriously. That ESPN, Andy, would endorse and facilitate the very suggestion of Jarrell Miller as an opponent for Tyson Fury, in my opinion, is a disgrace.
Yeah, we mentioned it last week and stuff. It's just a fuck you to the sport and probably to the fans that put money into it as well. I don't know how valid talks are for this fight. I don't know how if they are in talks or if it's just Fury just throwing names out there just to try and get bites or whatever and stuff. But it would just be an absolute, as I say, finger up to the sport. Okay, it's probably his hypocritical when you think about like other fighters and that. Some trying to give an example, for example, take Enzo, Macronelli, for example, he wasn't intending to cheat. He provided the samples and stuff, and they were shown to be, it came from contaminated supplement that he took and stuff. But this guy's been taking EPO, HGH stuff, fucking grade A, serious heavy duty stuff. That stuff that can actually kind of give you lingering health effects in later life and stuff. And as Del Boy Gisoro says, in that epic interview that he gave and stuff, you fucked with everybody's money. You've turned the division upside down. Bit like when Fury fucking, ransacked the division and dethroned fucking Vlad. Miller had his chance. Who knew at that point that fucking Joshua was going to end that fight in that state, that mental state, so to speak. Miller had his chance, man. Big payday, and think about it. As I say to the guys last week and stuff, to come back off whatever ban he's got, 6 months, whatever it is, to get a kind of prime time date. Top of the bill, ESPN, no less. The biggest platform in American television, sports-wise. he's going to get decently compensated, and he doesn't fucking deserve it.
Yep, completely agree, Andy. I don't know how they're going to whitewash over it. I know, like I said, people have their problems, they make mistakes and everything. But Miller, he failed on so many accounts. He's failed before in the past when he was kickboxing as well. We all know what he's about. We all know what he was up to. I don't think he should be rewarded for that at all. I'm sure you agree, Gabe. Just briefly, just trying to bring Danny Young on at the moment, actually. He was at the show last night, at the Dubois Gorman show, so he's going to come on and speak to us for a few minutes. Any word from you, Gabe, on Jarrell Miller as a possible Tyson Fury opponent? Are you cool with that?
Disgusting. It's fucking disgusting, Steve. And I hope he gets just completely destroyed if that does happen. I hate for it to happen, number one, so he gets a big payday. But I mean, if it's going to happen, I doubt there's much that we're going to be able to do about it. So if it does go through, I just hope to see him get plumb destroyed, absolutely just fucking blasted. And a side note, just as well, another performance-enhancing drug user, Luis Neri, beat.
Did I get me started on him? By the way, he's fighting next week, I think, isn't he?
I think that he's another one that they just wash over. I mean,
I want to throw shade his way. The WBC protected him a fair bit, like.
Oh yeah, for sure. I hope to see him get destroyed as well. But, it's just the same thing that PBC did whenever he was last on that Errol Spence, Mikey Garcia card. They just completely gloss over it and talk about all these great qualities and how great of a fighter he is and really set him up to be some big deal. And not a fucking mention, not a single even whisper about what a scumbag fucking cheat he was, and stole the final two fights from who was it, Andy? Jesus Christ.
What was that, mate?
Who was the guy that he fought over in Japan?
Who?
Neri.
Yeah, Yamanaka.
Yeah, Shinsuke Yamanaka.
It was Yamanaka, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, he did. He stole two fights from him after Yamanaka was ballsy enough to go back in with him a second time, knowing he was a fucking drug cheat piece of shit scumbag motherfucker. So that's all I have to say. I think I made my point known.
Yeah, Snake Hips, I know you're only trying to wind me up and everything, which is fine, but I mean, I'm not discussing Tyson Fury, not because I'm a bottle job or I don't want to talk about it, because we've discussed it many times before. I'm not saying that Jarrell Miller is a disgrace and he doesn't deserve the fight against Fury, who people are saying, I've said before about Tyson Fury, I don't know what the situation is. It's murky for me. It doesn't add up. But I mean, I have no agenda. I don't give a shit about Fury or AJ or anybody like that. We're going by the basis here that ESPN are promoting Fury as if he's legitimate and everything's fine. So I'm going off that basis as well. I'm talking about Jarrell Miller because it's the most recent thing. I'm not going to go back and start talking about Fury all over again. Yeah, maybe he is a cheat as well. They probably should. They're probably both cheats and they probably shouldn't be fighting against each other. But we're going off the basis that has gone now and it's past. Fury is who he is. He's back again. He's fighting on ESPN, and ESPN are bringing in a guy who has failed within like the last month or so. So it's not even past, it's not even murky. It's there in front of everybody to see. That's the disgrace element. That's what I'm saying. They're not even hiding it. They're not even trying to put a blanket over it. It's here in front of everybody's eyes for everybody to see that Jarrell Miller is a cheat, and they're trying to legitimize it. That's the point I'm making, Snake Hips. But like I've always said, if you want to come on, DM me and come on and we'll have a discussion about it. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, Danny Young's on with us. Danny, welcome to the chat. You were at the Dubois Gorman fight last night. Tell us how it went down, sir.
Evening, gents. You can hear me all right, yeah?
Hey, Shagger.
You all right, mate? How you doing, Andy?
Not bad, mate.
Good. What do you want? Main event, Steve, or?
Yes, sorry. Tell me about Dubois Gorman, and you can also mix into Joyce Jennings as well, Danny, because it's relevant.
Okay, yeah. So I was thoroughly impressed with Dubois last night, if I've got to be honest. I still go with the fact that he's got an half-decent chin on him as well, because he took a couple of big shots there last night and didn't seem to faze him. Gorman obviously was trying to box to some kind of a plan last night, but he tended really the best shots that Gorman was throwing were obviously always after Dubois' kind of jabs and double jab right hand and things like that. But a lot of his stuff was coming back off the ropes. But to be honest with you, I mean, that was a statement yesterday, and I strongly believe that the loss for Gorman last night doesn't really particularly mean anything. I mean, he can come back. He's still got time. He's got age on his side. And let's face it, with the heavyweight rankings being as they are, there's not really much around. And I certainly think with another couple of years, he could be up there mixing it with the rest of them. But as for Dubois, I think, well, I don't want to. In terms of Warren and his next opposition, well, you're thinking it's got to be Joyce now, maybe, as that's an easy fight to do. But I don't want to see Dubois messing around with any Hungarians or anything anymore. I mean, that was a statement made last night, and I think he needs to progress now. Even at that age, it obviously shows that he's got some talent, he's got some skills, and he needs to be pushed along the road, even if that's, as we talk about the European levels and things like that.
And shout out to Frank as well, because you mentioned Dubois' age. He's only 21, 11-0. He's already gone in against someone like Gorman. Even guys like Larty, not the greatest in the world, but it came. He showed Dubois a different style. He had a go. He threw a few shots. We've seen that Dubois, he's a little bit stiff at times, a little bit mechanical, but he's very strong, punches very hard, and he seems to have a bit of a decent beard on him as well. I think he's been well matched, hasn't he?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, that Larty fight was thoroughly entertaining, and again, he showed there that he could take a shot. Now, I personally don't think there's much up there in Dubois' head anyway, if I'm going to be honest with you, because whenever I hear him talk, he's just not on the planet, is he? But yeah, he definitely look. Yeah, he hasn't got any movement, but there's plenty of good fighters out there at the minute that haven't got particularly great movement, but his power makes up for that. And if he could stand there and trade with people like Larty and like Gorman last night, then fair enough. You know what I mean? Just let him do it. And I think hopefully you're all in agreement that maybe Joyce is that next step. And I'll be honest with you, if that is the next fight, I can see Dubois just walking through Joyce.
Oh, that's interesting. I would like to see that fight next. I haven't been big on Joyce in the past, but I said earlier, I don't know if you were listening or not, I thought Joyce actually performed quite well. And Bryant Jennings is a good test for Joyce at this point in his career. Frank mentioned afterwards, though, Danny, that he wanted to put maybe Gorman in against Joyce, but I'm with you. I'd rather see Joyce against Dubois.
Yeah, I don't see the point of that. I mean, I think Gorman probably... to be honest with you, I want to see Gorman built back up again. I don't, because if he goes in against Joyce and loses, certain people would say that, that's the end of Gorman too. I don't want to see that yet. But the fight, you might as well just put the two winners in. And with regards to Joyce, anyway, I don't know what it was like on the TV, but from watching it live, I wasn't that impressed, if I'm honest. I thought that if Jennings had a bit more of a dig on him, he could have put Joyce in some bother last night. I mean, he was getting caught quite a bit from what I could see. Again, I'll have to watch it back on TV, but he was getting caught way too much. And then, so you think that if he was to go in the ring with the likes of a Dubois or someone like that, he's good. Well, he'd probably get found out, to be fair. So I don't know, but that's the fight to make. I think Joyce Dubois is easily made. Warren can kind of do one of these because last night was thoroughly enjoyable. The card was half decent, so like it could easily put it together and do another good show at the O2 or something like that.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable card, and you managed to get out of there at a decent time, hopefully. We haven't moved on to the undercard yet, but you might as well move us there. Liam Williams moved up to middleweight, looked very impressive again. Got rid of a guy who'd never been done before. And also Archie Sharp, very languid, very loose. He was in against a tough guy in Jordan McCorry, but I like the look of Sharp. I thought he looked very impressive.
Yeah, my issue with Sharp last night, and don't get me wrong, I like Sharp as well. He's a local lad. I'm from that kind of area as well, so obviously keen to keep an eye out on him. But I don't like the showboating, if I'm honest with you. He's still got levels to step up, and the showboating was a bit too much for me last night. And I'll give that Jordan McCorry a lot of credit last night, because he came and had a go. He really did have a go, and again he was catching Archie Sharp. He caught him several times with some half decent punches, and I just think that Archie Sharp should have showed McCorry a little bit more respect, because yeah, there was too much showboating, and I don't want to see that. When you're at world level and you're winning world titles and things like that, by all means, if you've got it in you, showboat, but not at that level. I thought it was a bit disrespectful. But again, Archie Sharp rolls on, and yeah, he's a good fighter, and I look forward to seeing how he progresses.
And what about Suny Edwards as well? The guy who was in on Saturday night wasn't much cop. There's quite a few names been thrown into the mix for him. He's been chasing Paddy Barnes for a while, but we don't think that's going to happen. He's talking about this Pakistani guy now, Mohammed Wazeem. Can't see that coming off. Maybe Tommy Frank, who's Dennis Hobson's fighter, if they want to make that, and also Jay Harris moving up to Superfly, the Commonwealth flyweight champion. There's a few options for Edwards. He doesn't seem to have a pop, and one of the guys earlier in the chat was saying that he doesn't really attack the body that well, but he's a really nice, smooth mover.
Do I remember rightly that there was a discussion, was it last week or a couple of weeks ago, that maybe Ozzy said that Suny finds it hard to get fights?
Yeah, he said that himself, didn't he, when he was on with us?
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't get that impression that he's got a style that puts fighters off from fighting him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I certainly think that there's. Well, I don't know who's Frank got on his list that he could put Suny in with. I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head, but I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a stumbling career for Suny at the minute, and I think.
Who's Tommy Frank at the minute? He's still the Commonwealth champ.
Hobson, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's.
I seen Porky Russ was dropping a name there last night to Edwards. I think it might have been him actually.
Yeah, it was.
And Edwards says that he'd not to fight back with him, or fucking what do you call him? Frank did.
That's what they were saying, Danny, on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited about Suny Edwards until again some level of opposition kind of steps up. But I like him. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not writing him off. Like it is pleasing on the eye when he gets going. But I mean, yeah, the opposition again, I think needs to step up a little bit.
I agree with you. Anything else from the weekend, Danny, or anything in general you want to talk about before we let you go, sir?
Yeah, there is one thing, and that is the fall of the royal one, the prince.
Yes.
And that big L at the end of Patel now. So I got to be honest. I saw Cougs last night, and he had a grin. He had a Cheshire cat grin on his face. I tell you, he must be loving it. But yeah, so well done to the prince. Thanks for that. That's kind of made my month up. That was good. So yeah. I'm sure your boys will talk about him a bit later on, but yeah. So the prince for me as Bellew of the week when you get round to it.
Great stuff, Danny. We'll throw that in. Always a pleasure to have you on. You're welcome anytime.
Cheers, gents. Good evening.
See you, Danny.
See you, mate.
Danny Young, friend of the pod, also a subscriber over on patreon.com/boxing asylum. Top man is Danny. Good friend of yours, Andy. You've been to many a fight over in the Latvian hills.
Sorry, mate, I missed that. Say again.
No, I was just saying about Danny Young there, good friend of yours. You guys have been living it up in Latvia.
Yeah, well, we've gallivanted over, Europe, Eastern Europe, Britain. How it's got to go down,
Certainly. He was there last night anyway for this undercard.
Is he getting a ring there?
He fairly does as well with a wee one as well. You know how it is, Andy, but he was enjoying the undercard last night. I suppose he's done most of the hard work for you now. Just give me the Cliff Notes version of what you enjoyed. Starting with Liam Williams, a guy that we saw outboxing Mark Efron and someone who's really stepped up. And Dominic Ingle, he's doing a lot of good hard work, as they said last night, behind the scenes. And he's really put an extra bit of impetus into Liam Williams' work.
Yeah, been really impressed with Liam Williams. I know people are obviously kind of like hinting at other matters, and that with the Ingle move and stuff, which I totally get and stuff. But those extra few pounds, going up in weight and that, it's been about just over a year now since he went up to middleweight. It's just a whole lease of life, and that he's coming in. He just looks absolutely solid. Back looks like an aircraft carrier, and it's just the way he's just dealing with his opponents and stuff. Okay, I know that was a British fighter he was fighting there last night. I think he's got, was it one more defence or two more defences, the British, and he can win it outright. But I think it's time to move him up. I like to see him up at European level next now because at the minute he seems to be kind of like just blasting through these guys. So unless they're going to kind of try and win the British outright. Would they make the Mark Murray fight? I don't know. So it's interesting to see what they do with a mixed, actually. But I've been really impressed with him since move up the middleweight. So onwards and upwards, and hopefully he gets a big fight soon. Because I like to see him get some sort of kind of coming out fight. Really, I think he really needs one at this point in his career, actually. Because as I say, what is he? He must be what? What age is Liam Williams now? Must be late 20s.
Yeah, I was going to say 30, but I'm not sure. The page has gone off Andy in and around that type of area.
So obviously, I mean, I said dare say that the Liam Smith fight, or beating Liam Smith, might have kind of done that for him. But maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Actually, lost those fights. He went away, changed matters up, and he's done really, really well for himself at this point. So as I say, hopefully he keeps it going. Because at the minute, I don't think anybody at present would be able to handle him at domestic level. That's just my opinion. Off recent displays that I've seen with him, I don't think anybody would be able to beat him at the minute at 160 on the British scene.
Completely agree. Let's move on, guys. You are listening to episode 331 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. That's Andy Patterson there you heard talking. Also, Gabe Lewis is on the call with me. Bit of a thin panel so far. Plenty of quality rather than quantity, though. If things get any thinner, we might have to get a Ouija board out on a Sunday night to try and scare up a panel in future. Rapping Rob Kelly, though. He said he'll be here within the hour. 6 minutes, Rob. Waiting on you, 6 minutes. Shout out to everybody in the chat as well. Everybody listening at home and through the week. It's on iTunes, YouTube, all these different type of places. Right, Gabe, let's go over to Carson, California. Looks nice outdoors, doesn't it? Nice outdoor boxing. I'm going to be going to an outdoor boxing show in a couple of weeks' time at the Falls Park. Hopefully it'll be nice and sunny as well, as it appeared to be in the Dignity Health Sports Park. Not too sunny for Diego De La Hoya, though, Gabe. Getting knocked out in the 6th round against Ronnie Rios. Did not see this one coming. Rios pretty much had the bullying of him from about the 2nd round onwards.
He didn't get knocked out, he quit.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Joet Gonzalez as well, Gabe, 23-0, looked exciting. Eduardo Hernandez, 28-0, super featherweight, wasn't expected to lose to Roger Gutierrez, got absolutely banged out in the 1st round. And the big one, the one we're all looking forward to, Ray Vargas, one of the most pointless careers in boxing at the moment, winning a unanimous decision against Tomoki Kameda, 117, 110 across the board. Give us the highlights, the lowlights of this DAZN card, Gabe.
Yeah, so I thought overall the card had some really fun moments on it. It maybe top to bottom wasn't like full of really tremendous fights in terms of back and forth action and those kind of things. But I'll start at the bottom of the card. So Hernandez and Gutierrez was set up for Gutierrez to come in and be an opponent, and Hernandez was the prospect, the A side, 21-0, 20-0, something like that. And Gutierrez has a couple of losses. And so what they
Hernandez was 28-0, Gabe.
28. Fuck me, I didn't know he was that high up. And so what you got to see there was a young guy who came in. I don't think he was overconfident. I don't feel like he was overconfident. I don't feel like he was, in that mode of buying his own hype, so to speak, or anything along those lines. I just think he got caught. I mean, he got caught with a solid punch, and he went down, and you could tell he was hurt, but what happened was his legs just wouldn't respond. So he tries to get up, and he goes right back down. And he got up again, but as soon as he got up, the referee waved the fight off. I mean, you could see that he was in no shape to continue on. I mean, it didn't look like to me that it was one of those shots that was really going to, crush him and put him down for the evening. But as soon as you saw him try to get up, that was it. That's all she wrote, and you knew it. So, I mean, his legs, it looked like they'd fallen asleep or that he was borderline paralyzed. I mean, not to say that in a bad way, but his legs just were gone. So that was a tremendous victory for Gutierrez. I didn't watch much of the Gonzalez-Avila fight. I kind of was watching some other stuff and taking care of supper and stuff like that. So in that one, though, what I saw was pretty much a beatdown where Joet Gonzalez pretty much put a whipping on Avila and stopped him later on. I think it was oh Jesus fuck, I can't think of anything today. The referee stepped in and stopped that fight because it was getting to be too much. And then you had what was my fight of the weekend, De La Hoya and Ronnie Rios. So it started off in the first round kind of tentative. Neither guy was really wanting to go 110%. But in the second round, it started heating up. And so both guys were landing big punches, tremendous punches. And you kind of got that feeling that at any particular moment, it was going to be done and over with. And Ronnie Rios, was landing some really big left hooks and right hand combinations. He was going down to the body really well, which if you watched, what you noticed, if you've seen much of De La Hoya, is he doesn't really tuck his chin, and so his guard has to be higher to compensate for that. And so he was open to the body, and Rios was landing some really punishing body punches. I mean, he was just really letting him have it all the way around. Respect in terms of both guys really going to war because they were both landing some really clean, really hard punches. But then what you saw was Ronnie Rios came with I believe it was a right uppercut on the inside because they were kind of in close to each other's chests. He comes with a right uppercut and puts Diego down. And so he didn't look really that hurt to me in terms of not being able to move, kind of no response from his body, kind of that mind-body disconnect where you see guys get, starched out. So the referee comes over, starts to count, and he early on while he's counting, I believe he asks him, "Do you want to continue?" And Diego looks at him and just shakes his head and mouths something to him. I know he speaks Spanish, so I don't know if he actually said no mas or what was said. But then he gets up and the referee asks him, "Do you want to continue?" And he waves it off because Diego didn't give a response. So in a brutal fight, it was brutal while it lasted. Diego quit on himself and he quit on the fight. And it was a fight that he could have won because over the course of the rounds that we did get to see, although he did get hurt, Diego did get hurt. I feel like whenever he was able to land more cleanly and kind of go on a small little run of landing punches, it seemed to me that he was going to wear Rios out first if he would have stayed in that fight. So that was a great win for Ronnie Rios. He's had, I believe, 3 losses at this point. And I think he was getting trumpeted up to be kind of a really big prospect for Golden Boy. And then after the 3 losses, they've kind of wrote him off. They've kind of written him off and said, he's not gonna be what we hoped he is, because I think he won some amateur championships and maybe a Golden Gloves and stuff like that. And so he kind of got put on the back burner. And I think they finally saw the time was to make this fight. And then you had Diego De La Hoya quit on the fight, which he wasn't knocked out. Let's be 100% clear on that. As Andy said, he was fucking hurt and he quit. And so then we'll go on to the main event of that card with Shitty Ray Vargas versus Kameda. And early on, Kameda was having some success with his quick feet and that quick overhand right. The kid is fast when he throws his punches, whenever he's on point, and he's really trying to be quick. But what you saw in this fight was Shitty Ray Vargas. I just can't stand this guy. I'm sorry. So, it's so not fun to watch. Basically spoil the fight and just kind of keep moving. And he did what he was supposed to do. Let's be fair. He used his jab, used combinations, and he would hit Kameda at range. And really the thing that you saw was, number one, Kameda was too inactive. He had too many stretches in the fight where he wasn't moving his hands. And he a really basic, really fundamental skill was working his way in, and he did not do that. He didn't jab his way in. He didn't use any head movement coming in. And so Ray Vargas picked him off quite a bit. I felt like the scores were pretty accurate on that one. I think you could give a couple rounds to Kameda, and he I think he tried. I don't feel like watching the fight that he wasn't trying. I just think he doesn't have the schooling to know how to get inside on a guy that's that much longer and has that height advantage over him. Because the advantage of height and reach was what won the fight. I mean, Ray Vargas was able to keep the fight at distance enough to keep Kameda from landing the big punches. And then, similar to his brothers, I don't know how many of you guys out there listening have been a fan of Tomoki Kameda or his two brothers, but they really don't rely on just really powerful punches. It's more of a combination of quickness and solid landing punches in their fights. Koki, that was his thing. He was quick, not as quick as Tomoki, but he was quick, and he could land a good solid punch, and that was where he did more damage. And he was a body puncher too. So Tomoki is more similar to the eldest brother. The middle brother was probably the least skilled of all three, but they all three did this thing where they would just let too much parts of the round slip by without doing anything. And then they try to land one big punch, and they weren't big on putting punches together in combination. And so that was really what I think lost the fight, was the fact that he didn't use any head movement. He didn't use his jab to come in, so he got picked off quite a bit. When he did get in a position to possibly work, he smothered himself, and Ray Vargas would smother him as well, and so he couldn't get any punches off. He didn't really fight when they were on the inside. So there was a lot of flaws from Kameda that caused him to fight. But overall, it wasn't the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. It wasn't tremendous. So if you missed the fight, I wouldn't say, run out and go out of your way to watch it. If you're a fan of either guy, I would watch it. If you just
there's no fans of Ray Vargas out there, Gabe.
I didn't think there was, but there may be somebody out there who is. I mean, it's always possible.
Yeah, Gabe's right on a couple of scores there. Don't bother watching the fight. And Koki Kameda was always notorious for not throwing enough punches. He was always trying to be too precise. Just finally, Gabe, before you go on this card, regarding Ray Vargas, he does get a lot of stick from guys like me. But is it because he doesn't fight in the traditional Mexican style? He likes to back off a lot, use his height and reach. He's trained by Nacho Beristain, isn't he? He doesn't follow in that Rafael Marquez, Juan Manuel Marquez sort of mold. You hit me, I come back with twice as many punches. He's sort of happy to back off.
I think it's part of that. I think that's a big part of it. But I think the other part is he doesn't really do it that well. He's just really awkward and gangly and unprecise and just kind of, the word I'll put on it is sloppy. It's not like watching a guy who's a tremendous talent and who has mastered the art of boxing at distance. I mean, it's just really sloppy looking. It's like he doesn't have really good coordination. It's very much a part that he does back off more than he goes forward, which is not a problem, I don't think. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be that way. But like for me, I like to see that stuff whenever we're talking about, Rigondeaux and he's fighting going backwards. Or picking his spots really precisely, but it's super precise. It's so clean, and it's so vital. Whenever he punches, it's gonna land on its mark, or it's gonna barely miss. And with Ray Vargas, it's not clean. It's ugly and it's sloppy and like I said, uncoordinated, and so it doesn't really make it a joy to watch. Erislandy Lara, another guy, really basic. We've seen him do his thing 1.5 million times by now. He's a two-punch fighter. He jabs and he uses the straight hand, and that's all he does. And there's no mystery to it. People, when they fight him, they know what the fuck he's going to do, but they can't stop it. And with Vargas, it's not the same. You don't enjoy seeing that. It's like I said, I think the best term is ugly and sloppy. It just doesn't have an appeal to it when you watch it. And it's uncoordinated, and his movement is not good. He is so, I think, reactive to what happens in front of him that it's carried out in a way that makes it look as if he's just flying by the seat of his pants, as opposed to, this is what I'm going to do, and now you've got to figure out a way to stop it. It's I don't know. It's just not for me. I mean, again, it's similar to a style that you can talk about in another way, but all the skill that goes with it is not there for me to enjoy watching it. Like, it just absolutely does nothing for me.
Cheers, Gabe. Right, let's pick up the pace then, shall we? I know Hater Dave mentioned this fight last week. Can't find any results on the Yuri Boy Campas. 107 wins, 17 losses, 3 draws. Went in against Alexis Canet for 10 rounds in Mexico. Again, I say this all the time, but I don't know why on earth Campas is still fighting. Remember him fighting John Duddy back in about 2005, was it maybe, for one of those IBO things, and he really gave a good account of himself. He was one hell of a brawler, Campas, when he went in against Fernando Vargas, all the people, Tony Ayala Jr. in 2000 after his spell in prison. Campas beat him as well. Excellent fighter. Fought Matthew Macklin in Dublin. He's well done. I mean, how old is he? Let's have a look live on air, shall we? Click on him. Luis Ramon Campas, even Yuri Boy. He is debut in 1987. Let's have a look, shall we? 71, so he's 40 odd now. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Any word, Andy? I know you were trying to look for that earlier to try and find out whether Campas got the win.
Yeah, I just posted up on Twitter on the chat there, actually. It's in Spanish, so I can't really make out if he won or not.
He's nearly 50. He's nearly 50.
If someone can go to, is it Gancho al Boxeo? I'm not even going to attempt to read out the Spanish because I make an absolute arrow hunt of it, but he fought a guy called Alexis Canet, and he was 12-3 and 2, 8 knockouts. But that's all I can make out at the minute. Someone's going to know. If Donnie
seems
was
like he won. I think he won. Yeah, he won.
They won, aye.
They're having him down as 108 wins, but according to BoxRec, oh yeah, it is 108 wins. That's right. 82 knockouts. He won. So congratulations to him. On points, according to this. And my Spanish is terrible, but as far as I know, yeah. So there you go. Oh, Campas rolls on. Another one who needs to hang it up. Trying to get Jason Chukwu on the call. Who knows? Rob Kelly's on the call. Delighted to hear from you, Rob. Paco sent in a message earlier for Bellew of the Week. I'm just going to read it out now. He said, Bellew of the Week for Frank Warren's timekeeping again. His prime time fight starting after 11:15. Such good momentum all week on TV and radio. Now everyone's asleep. It's a good job the Walsh fight went early too. Were you disappointed by Frank's timing, or did you watch it this morning, Rob?
No, I watched it actually last night. Yeah, I kind of was. I was getting ready to come home. I was to watch the main event, and unfortunately, Joe Joyce's fight was just starting. So, I don't really care about that, dude. If I'm in to watch the fights, I'll watch them whenever time. You know what I mean? It's just the way it's. I understand. Like, I mean, I remember Billy Joe Saunders and Ryder. I don't know what time that ended up in the ring, but I remember Ryder thinking that he was going to be on earlier, and it was on nearly fucking midnight or something by the time they got to the ring. Like, so I don't know, but I wouldn't really care about that kind of shit, too.
What about the fights themselves then? Joyce against Jennings, Gorman against Dubois. I'm not sure who you picked last week, Rob. Tell us.
I picked either. I thought I said it'd be Dubois by KO or Gorman by points, but I was given the edge to Gorman. But just on that fight when we started, I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Daniel Dubois based on that performance. I thought he was excellent last night. Absolutely brilliant. He's not like, I get kind of annoyed when they compare fighters to old fighters, like, and there was a lot of Tyson comparisons to Dubois earlier on. Like, he's nothing like Mike Tyson, like, but he's a destructive puncher, and he boxed very well on the jab last night. And what I liked about him was when he got Gorman hurt, he didn't rush it. He didn't overexert himself, wasting big power shots. He went right back down to the body. In the third round, he dropped him. In the fourth round, he was back at that body. And then I remember his coach was saying to him in the corner, he's like, just relax, just, the knockout's going to come. And he went out in the fifth and loosened up and just dropped him with a great shot. Just dominated Gorman really from the second round onwards, like, and thought it was a very intelligent performance for such a young guy. He didn't, and under the lights as well, he didn't wilt under the lights. He seemed to relish the big occasion. So he's not much of a talker. He's a nice kid. He seems to be a nice, genuinely humble kid. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to watch him. I'm going to be tuned in for the Dubois fights from here in, because he's definitely exciting. I mean, when you look at the heavyweights coming up, outside the top 3 guys, the top 15 is shocking. So Dubois can be in the mix in a couple of years if they move him along nicely. So really enjoyed that performance from him last night. It's always good to get the knockout as well in those fights, like the domestic clashes where there's been a bit of a hype about it, big build-up. And Gorman will come again, I'm sure, but he looked nothing last night, I have to say. And maybe Dubois made him look nothing, but all of his talk about playing with Gorman or Dubois in the sparring sessions just goes to show you sparring counts for nothing. Like,
Thought he panicked a bit, Rob,
I didn't think he looked comfortable under the lights. I was just about to say, I thought he looked almost out of his depth with Dubois, which was interesting because he thought that Gorman had the more boxing experience. But look, I'm sure he'll come again, but I don't think people will be in a hurry to watch him again after that. He said afterwards in the post-fight that, in heavyweight boxing, it's a big shot, and you don't. It wasn't that though. Like, it wasn't that he was winning the fight and he got picked off. He was losing every round as far as I could see. So I don't think people will be in a hurry. They're going to have to build him up again, and I'm sure he'll come again. He's only a young guy. He'll definitely get fights, but Dubois has the spotlight on him for now.
I didn't buy the beef either, Rob. I know they've tried to, heap it up beforehand, but if you spar, 300 rounds with each other, I don't think you can hate each other that much, surely.
No, they had a mutual respect for each other, but you can tell Gorman was sick last night. In the aftermath when Dubois was kind of hugging him and everything, he could tell he was just like, I think he thought in his head, I have this guy's number. I don't know what he was doing actually. The left hook that he was throwing was very odd. Like, he looked terrible. He was doing that left hook where you dip your head down and try and throw it. You're almost showing your opponent the line to get a straight punch off on your head, and then your left hook comes out of nowhere. I actually mentioned in the chat last night, I went down a YouTube hole after watching that fight because that particular shot that he kept missing with reminded me of a shot that Emmanuel Augustus caught Floyd with about 5 times in his fight, where he dipped his head down low. Floyd's looking at his head, and then all of a sudden left hook comes over, and I ended up watching Floyd De La Hoya last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning. But anyway,
do you know what it was, Rob? It was almost as if someone had said to him, maybe Ricky or whatever, you're going to have success against him. We've watched him, and the left hook will work well. And he's like, like left hook, left hook, left hook. It reminds me of a small hall fight a few years ago, and I'm not going to mention the names, but it was a British title eliminator, and there was a southpaw against a local kid, and the local kid kept on throwing the lead right hand constantly, and the guy was ducking, and they ended up in a clinch time and time and time again, and it was almost as if, the right hand against the southpaw, they drummed into him, and that was all he kept on doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think, do you know what? I don't want to be too disparaging about Ricky Hatton, because I know Andy mentioned a couple of weeks ago, like, we don't diss De La Hoya on the pod too much. We know what kind of a character he is now, and we have a go at his persona, but as a fighter, he was brilliant. Hatton, to me, was a very good fighter. He probably overachieved for a guy of his ability, and he fought everybody apart from Junior Witter. So I don't want to be kind of too disparaging about him, but I will say my personal opinion on him is that I think he loves the limelight. Like, I don't think that's a secret. And during the in between rounds last night, I didn't think he was given, although the advice he was given to Gorman was probably good, he was delivering too many instructions at one time for me. Do you know what I mean? He was like, watch for the left hook, blah, 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 do this, and then catch him with this. The only chance he got of catching is with one big shot, so do this, and then try this. And then, like, it was all after the fucking first round. Like, he's giving him about 10 different instructions to go back out with. So I think Ricky likes the sound of his own voice when he's in the corner, and he likes to be heard and likes to be seen by the cameras. That's just my opinion on it. I could be completely wrong. And like I said, I don't want to be too disparaging about a guy who was a fucking, legendary fighter, but he loves it. Like, he loves that limelight. He's out fucking non-stop. Like, this is my moment in between rounds. Like, even when he went over to Vegas with Fury, they give him the Eiffel interview, and he's got like 5 seconds before he's mentioning his nights in Vegas with Mayweather and Pacquiao. Like, so look, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think people are going to be in too much of a hurry to watch Gorman again based off last night. So in terms of the other fight, Jennings and Joe Joyce, I know he's relentless, and I know that's the first time he's gone 12 rounds, and he did it comfortable-ish. But I feel he has a gas in him. I don't know why. I just have a feeling against top-level opposition, he's going to gas out at some stage. He got caught with Jennings. Jennings is a guy that always looks like, as well, to me, like he's daunted by the task in front of him. Like, he's almost better than he performs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people that speak about him from Philly always rated very highly. I don't know what it is. Does he freeze a little bit? But I thought he could have done better with Joyce last night in certain parts of the fight if he'd let his hands go. He kept going back to the ropes, and that didn't suit him. But the reason he was going back to the ropes is he wasn't comfortable standing in front of Joyce because of the volume punching. Now, Joyce, to me, I don't think, for a guy who's so highly decorated as an amateur, he doesn't come across as a guy with a massive ring IQ. I know he's got a big IQ outside of it. He's graduated from university and all that. But in terms of ring IQ, there's certain things he doesn't see. I mean, the shot, because they were closing distance, and Booth mentioned afterwards he wanted him to get small in the clinch to not present an upright target. So he was doing things right, and they're head to head, and he's ducking down. But Jennings was dipping over to his own left every time to try and get that left hook into the body that he hurt him with in the start. And Joyce rather could have had the short right hook there from, like, it was there, they were right in range, and he never saw it once throughout the whole fight to throw it. He stuck to the kind of thudding punches from distance or whatever. I don't know, he's not, I don't want to be too harsh on him, but he's not very exciting for me. And I would like to see him actually versus Dubois at some stage. I don't know if that's makeable or if it's on the horizon. I think Ortiz, based on last night, I know Ortiz is tied up with Wilder and they were trying to make that Joe Joyce fight at some stage. I think that Ortiz that I've seen, certainly the Ortiz against Wilder, I think we'll have a massive, massive chance of stopping that Joe Joyce. So he got the result. They talk about it all the time, cliche to say it to the blue in the face, learn to fight. You know, hopefully he will learn from it. They're moving him up. He's had 11 or 12 pro fights now, and he's long in the tooth. I don't really like that narrative either, because he's long in the tooth and he's been around a long time as an amateur. So I think if he wants to make an impact at heavyweight, time is not on his side, because I don't think he can hang with the top guys that are there at the moment anyway. So we'll see how he develops, but that fight wasn't great, like, was it really?
He has an art degree, Rob. You think if Dubois lands that right hand, he might be tasting the canvas?
Hey, that's why we love you back, Wellings. That's it.
Been sitting on that one all night.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think
a bloody canvas.
Just an interesting fight, isn't it? Like, you know, Joyce could school Dubois maybe, or Dubois could fucking clean his clock in 2 rounds. You don't know. Like, I'd like to see how Joyce holds up to that power, like, especially over the distance. But he seemed to get a bit emotional in the early stages last night as well, and was trying to get Jennings out of there and kind of tired a little bit. Just didn't look good. So kind of less said the better about that fight.
Yeah, moving on. We'll not spend any great time on this because I know I was pretty much the only one who saw it on YouTube. Jazza Dickens predicted he would beat Nathaniel May. Saw the Australian Nathaniel May boxing against a Russian in Belfast. Wasn't overly impressed with him, despite his 21-1 record. Dickens had a little bit too much nous and savvy for him. Didn't sit through the Martin Murray, Rui Manuel Pavanito fight. Skipped through that one. And Terry Flanagan knocked out Jonas Segu as well on that card. Decent little card put forward over in Liverpool, though. Well done to MTK on that one. Andy over in Japan, Rob Brandt against Ryota Murata. Now, I think that they're going to have to do a third fight on this one because, I mean, I didn't think they should have had the rematch in the first place. Brandt's domination in the first fight, taking Murata's title, was to such an extent, I thought, what on earth are they doing this for? Bob's not stupid. He knows Murata's bringing in a lot of revenue in Japan. We know he's a puncher, can be a little bit one-dimensional at times, but he caught Brandt, didn't let him off the hook whatsoever, and you never know, we might even see a third fight between the two of them?
I suppose so. But I know Rob was shouting for a third fight last night, pretty much. But in all seriousness, no, I said it last week, actually. I can't mind what I said the fight would... I can't mind what my prediction was last week, actually. But I did say that, you know, this was Murata's career on the line. And he fought like it was. Like, I mean, he was a man possessed. They hurt Brandt numerous times. Didn't they have like that one punch just to absolutely just turn the lights off? But he just kept the pressure up when he kept the hands pumping, and he finally just forced the referee to step in there. It was just a 2-round domination, bludgeoning, ransacking, whatever you want to name it. You know, he stepped up to the plate, and I suppose it makes, you know, most sense, I suppose, to have a third fight. But in all seriousness, who the fuck wants to see a third fight? I'd prefer maybe. Obviously, you've got the ESPN. Here we go again with the politics and that. But
what about the title, Andy? It's one of the. Is this the WBA World, and Canelo holds a WBA as well, doesn't he?
Well, I think I'm right in saying Jeff Horns went up to middleweight, so I wouldn't be surprised actually to see maybe Uncle Bob make that fight either.
Horns fighting Michael Zarafa, I think, next.
So that'll be a tune-up fight just to really get to see how he holds the weight.
Well, the WBA aren't going to force Canelo to do anything, are they? Let's be honest. I mean, they love the sanctioning money like all of them. Canelo ain't going to get forced to do anything.
I can't mind if Falcao's with
Golden Boy, I think, isn't he?
Is he Golden Boy, right?
I think so.
Then you've got Alfonso Blanco, who got iced off, and then Dam, remember that one-round knockout that was last year, and that. So it's no great coming. Jason Quigley's there, obviously, as well.
Jason Quigley's fighting next week against Toriano Johnson, which isn't a bad fight.
Magomed Madaev and Camille, is it Is there Ramete? Did he not fight recently?
Is he the Polish guy?
Who did he get beat off recently?
I'm not sure, Andy. I don't think Rob Brandt's world class, though. That might sound like a stupid thing to say. But I mean, see, in any era, BoxRec, say he's top 20,
Mate, listen, what is world class nowadays? What is world class nowadays?
I know. It's true, though, isn't it?
Aye. Shit.
Anything else on that card? What about Kenshiro?
Yeah, Kenshiro, obviously, again, impressive. He's, I'm trying to remember, who was he fighting again? Oh, Jonathan Taikoning.
Yeah.
Beat him up. I think it was a 4th round stoppage, I think it
was.
4th round. Aye. Big shock, actually, I would say, would be the fight Shimizu against Noine, actually. No, obviously, Shimizu was going up in weight, actually, for the first time. I think it was super featherweight, I think it was. But he just couldn't keep out the road at those straight shots and stuff. It was horrendous, man. Just the whole fight, straight left hands, that he couldn't defend them. He was getting badly banged up, dropped numerous times and stuff. And maybe just one of those fighters who lasted too long in the amateurs, turned pro too late, and maybe just got fast tracked too soon, actually, because I say he should have, in hindsight, just looked at that, actually. He enjoyed a lot of physical advantage. He's 5'10" for super featherweight. It's fucking huge, right? And he's moved up in weight, and well, off the back end of that, what I seen him, he got absolutely ruined, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him retire off the back end of that. But we can just end his world title aspirations straight away. I think he'll be doing well just to kind of hang on to his regional title belt that he currently is. I don't know if he's still a champion at featherweight of, but it was a bad defeat, that, actually. And it was a defeat that can basically rake a guy of his confidence in a bad way.
Before we move on to Amir Khan and then all the stuff for next week, gentlemen, including Bellew of the Weeks, Gabe, see anything of the New Jersey card? Shakur Stevenson, it did drop, but I haven't watched it yet. Joshua Greer Jr. was on that as well. A little bit of a prospect. They managed to get a decision by the skin of his teeth against Nikolai Potapov. That's a good name, isn't it? Shakur Stevenson, anyway, knocked out Alberto Guevara in the 3rd round. Wants a crack at Josh Warrington now, Gabe?
I did see part of the Potapov, whatever the fuck it is, the Russian guy. And the other, fucking whoever it was. I didn't see anything to be particularly thrilled about while I was checking that out. So, pardon me on that one. I didn't give a shit about much of the card in general. I was really excited for the fight whenever they first announced the Cuban kid that was supposed to be fighting on that card against Stevenson. Fuck me. Goddamn, I cannot think of anything to save my life today.
You've been drinking too heavy this week, Gabe. We need to get the family back, man. Get you back on the straight and narrow.
Maybe so. That may be part of it. Man, it just seems like everything I'm trying to think of, it's right there, and I can't think of it. It was the very first opponent they had scheduled him for on this card, and then once that fight fell through, Sokaros, Hiron Sokaros. I thought that might be a good fight, but ever since that fight got canceled, I haven't had any interest in it. I did check out part of the undercard that wasn't on. I don't think it was on ESPN. It was Joseph Adorno. He's a Puerto Rican kid, and he is he's a pretty powerful guy. I mean, they call him gifted hands, and I think he's got some pop in his punches. So we'll see what happens with him. But that was the only fight of interest for me. And so I did catch that one. He won there. And, of course, we all know the results from the rest of it. But I wasn't thrilled about the card. I've got to where I really don't like even fucking opening ESPN up because of all the nonsense and the garbage that the announced team spews. I mean, it's like fucking listening to them jerk off right there on the air because it's so blatant. I mean, it's just terrible. The production value, everything, it just fucking sucks. Bring back HBO.
Yeah, bring back HBO. Well said, Gabe. Well said. Bring back the King Abdullah Sports City as well, Rob. I hear them chanting in the rafters. Seem like they're having a great old time on Friday night. Amir Khan predicted the fourth round, taking a W on that one against Billy Dibb. Prince Patel lost Hughie Fury. Gavin Stevens, Rob, wasn't impressed. He threw in for a Bellew of the Week. This entire Jeddah show, absolutely awful. Ring walks taking forever. Rick Ross rapping and Samuel Peter swinging like a rusty gate. Although Prince Patel getting his arse handed to him is pleasing, said Gavin.
All the boys were there. Rick Ross, Tyga, fucking some DJ was in between rounds shouting his head off. Look, the whole thing was an absolute farce. I think we all knew that before when the fight was made. It was supposed to be an exhibition initially, wasn't it, for Amir, for the pearl belt of peace. So Billy Dibb comes in a late replacement. He's fighting a fucking featherweight, so there's nothing you can take from that. Not buying that he's not sharp. I just think he's shot. He's already had a fight this year, so training shouldn't be an issue. He's straight back to camp. I know that the talk is about Amir that he doesn't stay fit in between camps. Hunter mentioned that before. So he's fighting a featherweight. You'd expect him to knock him out, but to me, based even on that 4 rounds, he looks completely shot. I think his feet are altogether gone. And that's going to be a problem for him if he does return to high-level opposition. Saying Pacquiao gets past Thurman. If he does, and they're making this proposed fight, I think Pacquiao ices him still. The hand speed is there-ish, not to the same degree that it was a couple of years ago. And he obviously looks like he has power when he's knocking out a featherweight, but he hasn't knocked anybody out at welterweight. That's of note anyway. At 147, nobody of note. You gotta hand it to Amir where he's getting £7 million for a night's work when he's probably 2-3 fights past when he should have retired. So, the train is likely to roll on for another payday at least. The Brook fight's never happening. So get that out of your head, Kel. Just let it go, baby. It's not happening. That fight is never going to happen. It's going to go down with Hatton and Witter, even more so because the two, Brook's profile is a lot higher than Witter's ever was. The undercard with Hughie Fury and Sam Peter, again, we talked about this last week, and it was like, why are they making this fight for Hughie Fury? And apparently, they just got a call, and there was a big bag of money, and they took it. Sam Peter, fuck me, he's 15 years past his best, isn't he? And Hughie Fury doesn't seem to have much of a right hand. He's jabbing fellas to sleep, but like we saw in the Parker fight, and he never got the opportunity maybe against Pulev, but even still after the cut, they were kind of making excuses. He does not let that right hand go. I don't know if he's got bad hands or he's fearful of getting caught or he's got drilled in a certain style, but he does not seem to be active at all with the right hand. And against a guy like Sam Peter, you'd expect Hughie Fury, if he's anything, to be beating him up, and badly at that. And it didn't really look like that to me. It just looked like a bit of a snooze fest, and then controversial-ish ending. And what was the other fight on that card?
It was the mighty Prince Patel going in for the IBO title, Rob. But he's still the Tanzanian syndicate champion. All's not lost.
Well, he didn't get his head caved in. He managed to last the full 12, even though he lost every round, I believe. So I didn't see the fight. Don't think Prince Patel was ever going to be world level. But it just goes to show you how... I know Ozzy spoke about this before. We don't really understand how Prince Patel is doing all this, how he's getting these fights for these bogus belts in countries where they don't have boxers, you know what I mean? But
we saw them on YouTube, didn't we, Rob? And we had an inkling as to what he'd been doing. I mean, it was borderline, shambolic.
Well, one of the clips that went around recently, where I think it was one of the Edwards put it out, it was fucking abysmal. The poor guy was shaking like a shitting dog in the fucking corner before a punch was even thrown. And the next minute he's out of the fight. They literally looked like they pulled him. They gave him a gear bag when he came in, like he went to go to a museum exhibition or something. And somebody just put a fucking gear bag in his hand and threw him in the ring.
And that was for a title.
And there was about 14 people in the room sitting on odd looking deck chairs while Prince Patel was posturing to them in the corner. So it's all very strange, but it just goes to show you how basically anyone can have an inflated record. And I mean, look, a step up is not necessarily normally considered the IBO title, but as soon as he's had a step up, he's been exposed. And Barry Jones will have had a nice moment looking at that. Saw him put up a nice Facebook post where he screenshotted Prince Patel looking bemused on the TV and said, I saw this comedy, I heard it's shit, but I'm going to watch it anyway.
Fair play to him as well after the way Patel shit on him in that Box Nation studio.
Yeah.
Barry deserves his day.
He did, and he took it well, and he actually handled it brilliantly. So
He did, yeah.
props to Barry Jones, and of course Prince Patel could never carry Barry Jones' jockstrap. Everyone knows that. Like, so it was an outlandish comment, but that's the kind of things that fighters are doing these days to get themselves in the game. You know what I mean?
At that point, though, I suppose, Rob. I mean, I don't know about you, but I wasn't really aware of Patel. It was sort of either way as to whether he actually was going to back it up. I didn't know if he was any good or not.
Well, I think he said it somewhere in some IFL interview that he had a big wang, and then Frank Warren signed him, didn't he? Off the straight to that. It was kind of like he was going to play into the kind of, he might have been supported by the Asian demographic, and there was a few pound there, like, but didn't pan out, like, and it's not going to pan out. So less said about Prince Patel, the better, probably. Even though I'm still Prince Patel versus Coogan.
Barry Jones dropped Acelino Freitas.
Patel
with a capital L at the end of his name. I can drop these fucking guts last night. That's what he did.
Acelino Freitas beat Prince Patel now.
He'd kill him. Hey, Rob, what about Danny Young was asking you about Rick Ross's performance rating?
I must have missed that, actually. I didn't see Rick Ross, the boss. No, so shout out to everybody in North Miami, where Rick Ross is from. I visited the area when I was over there, and it's good for him that he got the Jeddah, put it that way.
Yeah, shout out to Rick Ross as well. Andy, on this card from you, starting off with Hughie Fury, Anthony asked a question on Twitter earlier. He said, can you ask the panel where they think Hughie Fury fits in with all young heavyweights? And do you think he will fight any of them? I think it's along the lines, Andy, of what we were talking about earlier. You know, Dubois, Gorman, Joyce.
Yeah, as I say, is probably more a fight for Joyce, I think, at this point. As I say, I think they're going to kind of maybe hold back on Dubois a little bit, you know, maybe try and cherry pick a few British defences and stuff. I don't think they'll make Joyce fight next either for Dubois either. Fury, I don't know where he sits at. Actually, I think to be honest, I don't know. Yeah, I think we can end up seeing him fighting, you know, these nondescript heavyweights for a wee bit longer. Actually, I don't know if, you know, off the back end of this, you know, Sam Peter, I wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of pulling likes of that big Japanese fella or the Tyrone Spong or whatever that his name is, but. To be honest, I don't know. I really don't know. You know, Hennessy seems to be hanging on by his fingernails. I don't know, you know, what they're going to be doing promotionally, as in terms of shows and stuff like that. I think they're going to be announcing something soon. I think they've got some Channel 5 dates arranged or something.
Andy, if Hennessy's hanging on by his fingernails, they must be some tough fingernails.
Well, he's remortgaged the house or something like that as well for about the 18th time or something. I really don't know. I think at this point in that, I think if the phone goes, the fight gets offered, they'll probably take a fight against a fighter. I don't know. I mean, as I said last week, I listened to Peter Fury before this fight, and he said they got a phone call. Sam Peters, the opponent, obviously getting well paid to go out there and basically, you know, work on a sparring partner. Basically, I don't know. I mean, I'll pull a name out. Sergey Kuzmin, for example, like to see him in with him. Maybe big Otto Wallen, the big Swedish boy, he needs a test, I suppose. I don't know about Teslenko. I think he's based in Canada just now. I think maybe
he is, yeah.
About him. So I think there are a few question marks about that guy as well. The other name, obviously, he's attached to Matchroom, Michael Hunter, maybe the European champ Kabayel. You know, grab yourself a belt and that, maybe make a few defences against the European names and stuff. But other than that, guys, I can't think of much.
No problem. Let's move on to the action next week. I'll just be skipping over quite a few of these cards because we don't want to go on for too long. It's 20 to 10 already. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody in the chat as well. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, hit the like button there for us, guys. We already mentioned Jason Quigley going in against Toriano Johnson next Thursday. That's a good test for Quigley. We were asking the other week where he's been, what he's doing. Well, that's a good fight for him, so I'm looking forward to that one. Aaron McKenna as well, 8-0 welterweight. He's pulling up trees for Oscar De La Hoya, so good luck to him. Talking of pulling up trees, 54 years young, Oliver McCall still going on. I mean, must be, 15, 20 years ago since he had that meltdown in the ring against Lennox Lewis. I don't think it's any good for his mental health, briefly, Andy, going in against Ronald Backer, 9-4-4. Obviously got nothing else to do with himself but the atomic ball. Come on, Oliver, what are you doing, man? That chin, the uncrackable chin, is going to crack soon.
Well, you talk about crack, mate. You know, crack isn't cheap these days and stuff like that. So he's got a habit to feed, maybe. But other fighter also in action next week is one Jorge Arce, the lollipop man.
Why?
I know.
He once came in the ring on a horse. He needs to get on that horse and get the hell out of there. I don't want to see these fighters going on for too long. Over in Ghana on Saturday night, Emmanuel Tago. He's one of my little pet fighters that I'm sort of following along the scene, along with Duke Micah. But Tago is 30. Let's just bring his record up here. He's 30-1, and he lost his debut 15 years ago against the ubiquitous Lanti Addy, and he's won 30 fights since. The most interesting fact about Tago, it's not really a fact, is that he looks an absolute spit of O'Hara Davis. Go and look him up on BoxRec. He's 30 years of age from Ghana. Emmanuel Tago. He's the doppelganger of O'Hara Davis, unbeaten in 15 odd years. He's going places, won a few WBA fringe belts, IBO, IBF as well. Whether he'll get a fight for a world title, who knows? His nickname is the Game Boy. That's a good console back from the day when I was a youngster. Anyway, I've talked enough bullshit on that fight. Michael McKinson, MTK, Saturday night against Evgeny Pavko. Chantel Cameron has been on the show in the past, talking about her maybe fighting Katie Taylor. That could be interesting. She's going in for the WBC Silver Female Lightweight title against Anisha Bashil. That'll be on US ESPN and also on YouTube as well. Right, Gabe, let's get into the meat of this. Teofimo Lopez, next Friday night in Maryland, 13-0. He's going in against 18-0 Japanese fighter Masayoshi Nakatani. They're talking about maybe Lopez fighting against someone like a Lomachenko. Do you know what fight I'd like to see him take if the WBC becomes available? I don't know how they're working it. I know Luke Campbell's in the mix as well. Maybe Lopez against Richard Comey, Gabe? I'd be interested to see that fight. If you can back Comey up, you've got a chance. But he comes forward, he throws a lot of wild swings. If Lopez gets past this Japanese guy, we might see him in against someone like a Comey. What do you make of this fight, first of all, Gabe? Teofimo Lopez against Masayoshi Nakatani.
Well, I think it has the potential to be a good fight. I mean, I think that part of what you have to consider is that they're not really going to put him in with somebody they think poses a huge threat because he's kind of a boxing media darling right now, is Teofimo Lopez. Everybody's high on the bandwagon. Everybody wants to see him because he produces knockouts, which is always good for the sport, always good for viewers. I don't think that he's going to end up having a real long night with Nakatani. I don't think that Nakatani is going to be able to come over and to really offer up enough resistance to make it a long night. I don't see it happening.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gabe. I think Nakatani is going to walk right into Lopez's hands, as you say. He's knocked out 7 of his last 8 opponents, Nakatani. He has 12 knockouts in 18 wins, undefeated. He's clearly a bit of a puncher. He's going to come straight for Lopez. He might make it interesting, but more than likely, he's probably going to walk onto something.
Yeah, I think that Teofimo Lopez is going to throw the shorter punches and the straighter punches in this fight, and I think he's going to score a big punch before, I would say it's over before the 4th round. I just really don't see it going too far. Of course, there's always the offhand chance that we could see something, dramatic happen from Nakatani, but I just feel like from what I've seen of them, from what I've seen of both of them, Teofimo is going to have the quickness advantage, and if he comes in not overlooking this guy, he's going to throw the appropriate punches at the appropriate times, and he's going to be able to get in between the punches from Nakatani and land, like I said, the shorter, more straight punches. I just don't see it going too far. Really, the whole card. You talked about Ray Vargas having the most pointless career. I disagree with you on that one. I think Esquivio Falco is the most pointless career at this point. Has been he was in the Olympics, and then he's done fuck all since then. I mean, absolutely nothing. So that's my pick. I just noticed that he was on the card, so I thought I'd give him a good shitting on while we're talking about that card. Nah, I don't see that card being too competitive really in that fight. And then you've got some other stuff on there that I really couldn't give a shit about.
Andy, I suppose that answers the question we were talking about earlier. A couple of times you've asked me about Falcao, I believe, and I've said he's with Golden Boy, but he clearly isn't. He's on this Lopez undercard, 23-0, 15 knockouts, along with our man Maxim Dadashev, but he must be a top-ranked fighter.
Possibly, mate. To be honest, it's getting hard to try and keep up with what's going on.
He is. I'm not to interrupt to be a dick, but he is. Bobby Arum signed him pretty much as soon as he decided he was going pro. He's been with Top Rank pretty much his whole career, unless there was a little stretch in there somewhere where he got done with a Top Rank contract.
Right.
No, I think Gabe's right, Andy. I'm thinking of another Brazilian. Wasn't there another one who was being touted?
He has a brother. I'm sure
Was it? And he got knocked out by somebody half decent, didn't he? And then it was like sort of disappeared.
Is that the right, Gabe? There's no two of them. There's no brothers or something like that. Different weight divisions.
Let's have a look here on the list. Aye.
Yeah, I think
Yamaguchi Falcao.
That's the one. That's the one.
that's it.
There we go.
Is she related to brother?
Yeah, he got knocked out by. Oh no, and he lost the unanimous decision to Christopher Pearson. Anyway,
Right.
not to worry, Andy.
Well, obviously, I mean, Lopez clearly. Was this some sort of kind of eliminator fight, or is it a title fight?
It's a I think it's some kind of WCBC eliminator. Possibly.
No, I just found the IBF final.
IBF,
eliminator.
okay, fair enough.
So that's fair enough. Which will be. Oh, who's it again?
What the fuck?
Richard Comey.
Final eliminator. I mean, it's an eliminator. It's the final fucking thing. Like, you eliminate somebody and then you get a title shot. What the fucking fuck?
Yeah, of course, Andy. I was talking at the top of it when I was introducing Gabe, wasn't I, about Lopez fighting Comey? Yeah, of course, it's an IBF for Comey. Yeah, sorry.
It is Richard Comey, aye.
Yeah.
That's aye. But obviously, Maxim Dadzev, obviously, a few of these fighters we're keeping an eye on. This one's a Russian, obviously. I don't know if he's training with. I think he's training with. Is it Robert Garcia? I think he's his trainer. I think, but no. Well, at least it was. I can't mind. But anyways, this guy's fight. I don't know if people remember him actually, but Subriel Mateus. People might remember what he fought on one of the undercards, WBSS, Prograde against Flanagan, and he iced that Fernando Saucedo. Like in one round. It was really impressive actually, but obviously like Saucedo's one of those Argentinians with a built up padded record and stuff, so might be a decent fight that actually. We'll find a wee bit more about Mateus. What kind of fighter is he? Puerto Rican, so there might be a wee bit of yellow in there, but we'll wait and see. Dadziev, obviously a big hitter, decent amateur back in the day, and he's got wins over Sismundo, who I think he got beat last night on that undercard in the
He
zone.
did, yeah, that's right.
DeMarco, Dallas Perez on his card and that as well, and Clarence Booth. So, some decent ones, but I think obviously somebody's always going to have to go in this one. That's really looking forward to it. I think this one's also an IBF final eliminator as well for the super lightweight title.
Yeah, MB in the chat has, I think, hit the nail on the head with the guy I was trying to think of. I think it's Robson Conceição was the Brazilian fighter that I was trying to think of. I'm just bringing his record up now.
Wait a minute, sorry. So there you go. So the winner of this fight will be, theoretically, will be in line to fight either Josh Taylor or Prograde in the next, say, 6 to 9 months, probably.
That'll be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. And by the way, I see our man, Grizaev, one of the Uzbeks, he's ranked 7th with the IBF as well. And their man Mateus is ranked 8th. So it's which begs the question: how does a guy who's ranked number 3 and a guy who's ranked 8th all of a sudden get the final eliminator fucking call when you got guys like Ampinian Sakharin, fucking who's number 1 contender, getting bypassed like he's like a $2 whore? What the fuck's that?
Ampin Sakharin, eh? Sweet as sugar. You know what it's like, Andy. You know what it's like in the crazy world of boxing. Right, Rob, I'm coming to you in a minute on the show. We'll just skip past these two. Maxim Vlasov over in Russia going in against Isaac Chilemba. A bit of a crossroads battle between those two. Michel Soro. Yeah, but exactly. Michel Soro as well. Let's see who beats him next Friday night Saturday night even in France against the unbeaten 17-0 Magomed Kurbanov. Walter Sequeira's on that card. He fought Anthony Yard at one point.
Yeah, Steve, sorry to interrupt. See that guy Kurbanov, by the way?
Yes.
Bad dude. Like, I've been watching him for a wee bit. But I just I came across an article recently actually about him. He's been tied up in some sort of kind of scandal that he's been like, say, some politician or some oligarch in Russia and that. He's been getting these MMA fighters look at like to deal with some situation. He's been caught up in it and that. So I don't know if he probably will fight next week, but there's been some sort of situation legally he's been caught up in.
We could be the next Avtandil Kurt Sidzi. The feds might be coming for him in the ring.
Possibly.
Grand Theft Auto City.
Grand Theft Kurt Sidzi, exactly. Well, let's go on to the big stuff then, Rob. I'm going to let you lead us in discussion. There's 2 big cards next weekend. Keith Thurman against Manny Pacquiao, Dillian White against Oscar Rivers. Which one should we go with first, Robert? The choice is yours.
Well, we go with the big one, which is Thurman versus Pacquiao. Rivas versus fucking Dillian White as a pay-per-view is a bit of a joke to me, but Thurman is an enigma, like, to me. On his rise, everybody thought he was this, serious boxer puncher, and that he was the heir to the Mayweather throne. You saw him in interviews, giving interviews on how he was going to break down the Mayweather Da Vinci Code and all this bullshit, like. And I think Keith Thurman's opinion of himself, once he got to the top level, is different than the general boxer public. Like, because to me, anyway, at least, he hasn't performed as you would have expected a guy like that, talking like that, performing like that as he was coming through when he got up against A-level guys. Now, I know he's beat Sean Porter and I know he's beat Danny Garcia, but in his head, he said that the welterweight division was boring when he was off. Well, nobody fucking missed him as far as I could see. Like, the welterweight division had Terence Crawford coming up, or Spence starting to dominate. Keith Thurman was like, so what if he fights one of them two? He's probably going to lose. Like, so I wouldn't favour him against the top 2 welterweights in the world. I think he's okay. I think his power is a bit mythical against top guys, and I think he can be hard to the body. And I think if Pacquiao has anything left, he's going to give Thurman all kinds of trouble. I'd be very surprised to go out and see Keith Thurman handle and have his way with Manny Pacquiao. And that should show you where he's at, because Manny Pacquiao is now 40. And if you were putting him in with Crawford or Spence, you'd expect the 2 of them to have their way with him. And I don't think Thurman's going to have his way with Pacquiao. I think Pacquiao's, he was mocking him the other day in an interview, talking in the third person like some kind of preacher, like Dave Hader said last week. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous, the shit he was coming out with in front of the reporters. And I know you have to sell the fight, but like, his performances are not matching that kind of talk, and he's making it out like it's an easy fight versus Pacquiao because his footwork is so good. I'm sorry, hold on, when did fucking Keith Thurman become Willie Pep all of a sudden? I can't fucking remember his footwork being that good. He's not exactly super elusive. He's shown against B-level guys that he can get tagged, so why does he think Manny Pacquiao's not going to be able to find him? So I think he has his work cut out for him. I think that's a tough night's work. I wouldn't be surprised at either result, but I would be very surprised if Thurman goes in and ragdolls Pacquiao and knocks him out. Can't see it. I could be very wrong. Who knows? I've been wrong before. Rivas versus Dillian White. I haven't seen enough of Rivas to give an opinion on him. I will say that I like Dillian White. He's very likable as a character, and that's after helping build him into a pay-per-view star. Is he a pay-per-view star based on his ability? I don't know. He went life and death with Dirk Chisora 2 different times. Like, then he was losing the last one before he pulled a knockout there. Having said that, I admire him. He keeps putting his balls on the line. Okay, you can say duck the Joshua fight. He wanted 12-week camp in Vada testing for that Joshua fight. So he wanted the benefit of somebody, according to him, he wanted the benefit of having a level playing field against somebody cycling off. So can I knock him for that? I don't know. He could have taken a Wilder fight, I know, a couple of times. But he's hanging out for big paydays. He knows his worth. He's in the inner circle of Matchroom, so he knows what fellas are getting paid, and he wants a share of it if he brings that to the table. And Sky and Matchroom have helped him become almost a household name now in the UK and Ireland. And he's a big name in the UK. He's a big draw. He's taken over the mantle from Tony Bellew as the kind of prop up Matchroom star to AJ. So he's doing it again against Rivas. Some of the days he's going to come unstuck, I think, because I don't really think he's that good. But I think he'd give Fury a better fight probably than Joshua, if that fight ever gets made. So I don't know what the future holds for Dillian White, but I'd expect him to come through on Saturday night and maybe look awful doing it.
Must be doing something right, Rob. He's never fought for a world title, and he's headlined multiple pay-per-views now?
Yeah, and I mean, if you can get paid for knocking over Lucas Daddy Brown, he's kind of done what he's supposed to since he's lost to AJ. That's what I want to give him credit for. Apart from a couple of bumpy moments, for the most part, he's done what they asked him to do. He didn't have to take Chisora fight the first time. Chisora gave him a nightmare the first fucking fight, and it was an awful fight to watch. He didn't have to take that second fight, but he took it. Fuck it, let's go again. Knocked out Derek Chisora. Done what he's supposed to do. He keeps his name up there, and he keeps getting paid while doing it. So for a fella, like I said, with that ability, coming from a kickboxing background, to put himself up there as a pay-per-view name, whether you like it or not, I kind of admire him for that. So, but still, I don't think next Saturday night's going to be prime viewing.
Back over in America, Gabe, nobody really likes a pay-per-view. I noticed Tom Brown's part of the promotional one on this. Lou DiBella seems to have been slid away. I know Wilder's not involved with him anymore. Tom Brown seems to have taken his PBC mantle as the go-to promoter at the moment, along with Leon Margules as well, who was ringside last night. But we're not a fan of pay-per-view necessarily, Gabe, but praise be to Al Heyman for the undercard. F.A. Jagba's got an undefeated opponent. Caleb Plant has a 21-0 challenger to his IBF title. Sergei Lipinets against John Molina, and pretty much filler. Luis Neri, not happy with his background, but he's fighting against Juan Carlos Payano, decent former champion. We saw him getting blitzed by Inoue. And then your Dennis Ugas, who I think is actually a really good fighter. Well, maybe that's pushing it a bit, but he's good. And I thought he beat Sean Porter, going in against the unbeaten still. Everyone's favourite drunk driver, Omar Figueroa Jr. Shout out to Al for the undercard. It's all about the big one, Gabe. We keep saying at 40 years of age, Manny Pacquiao, how much longer can he go for? But the size is the thing for me here. Surely Thurman's going to be so much bigger than him, Gabe?
Well, you'd think so. You'd certainly believe that it is. I mean, Manny hasn't been the bigger fighter in years than most of his opponents. I can't remember the last time I saw him in the ring with a guy and thought he was bigger. One thing about Manny in the last fight, his calves were fucking huge. So I don't know that the size is going to play that much of a difference. Keith Thurman is a guy that has some power, but the whole one time, because if he hits you one time, you're going out thing is the biggest crock of shit selling point I've ever fucking heard. Keith Thurman really shouldn't have anything to present to Manny that Manny has not seen before and that Manny shouldn't be able to overcome. Even if there is some height and significant reach advantage there. I don't know the stats on it. I haven't looked at them myself. I don't really feel like there's going to be anything. And so really what Manny has to do is get inside and really get his feet working and outmaneuver, because Keith Thurman is not a guy with great, tremendous footwork. The only time you really see anything from his feet is whenever he's running after he gets hurt. And that's kind of his thing. Whenever he gets hurt, he's going to take off like a scalded dog. So if Manny is able to get his feet going and has the stamina and, he doesn't get timed perfectly by Keith Thurman, then I don't see anything Thurman's going to do to really beat him besides just landing a big punch. Now, that's not to say that Keith Thurman is not good. I personally really don't like Keith Thurman. I think he's a fucking idiot and a moron, and I want him to get knocked the fuck out. But I really don't, like I said, I don't see anything here that I feel like Manny hasn't seen before. But here's a big but. His last fight was with Adrian Broner. So I don't think that you got a really accurate representation of what Manny Pacquiao still is based off of that performance, because a tremendous point is Adrian Broner is going to stand in front of you and cover up. He's not going to throw punches. Keith Thurman, however much I dislike him, is going to throw punches. So if Keith Thurman is there and he throws punches with Manny Pacquiao and he can time him coming in and he can be a little bit more accurate and land some straight punches, then he should have an opportunity to win. So despite my early comments leaning heavily towards Pacquiao, I really feel like this is going to be a pretty close fight. There's a lot of possibilities here, and I haven't really been able to pick a way that I can see either guy just dominating the other one. Of course, it very well could happen. So I think if you're a betting guy, I wouldn't listen to me and say, place your bet on a close fight, because it really could end either way. I just think that mentally and experience-wise, Pacquiao has seen everything that can be presented to him at this point. He's seen it all. He's seen counterpunchers. He's seen big guys that come forward. He's seen guys that play defense. I mean, there's really nothing at this point that he hasn't seen. So I don't feel like Thurman's going to be able to bring in anything that's going to really surprise Pacquiao, that's going to catch him off guard. And that's my main prediction is I'm going to lean towards Pacquiao on this one, because I don't feel like Thurman has anything besides the size, strength, and age advantage, which those things are not insignificant either. but I feel like Pacquiao's going to find a way to get it done. Like you said, I'm also pretty excited about really the card, the fight that's on the undercard, the Caleb Plant Mike Lee fight. So I noticed that you said Mike Lee's record. Mike Lee was a tremendous prospect early on in his career with Top Rank. He had some kind of autoimmune disease, and he was out for 2 to 3 years, I think, somewhere in that time frame. And so I don't know if it was during that time that he got dropped from Top Rank and signed over with the PBC, or exactly what happened. But Mike Lee was a tremendous prospect, and he was going places before that issue happened with that disorder or disease or whatever it was. And so I think Caleb Plant's a good fighter. I like watching him, and I know that Mike Lee experientially has the ability to put on a good fight. So I think that could be a sleeper for the fight of the evening. If you want to watch a good boxing match, I think that one would be a good one to watch. I don't know that it'll turn into a brawl, but that's my sleeper for fight of the night on that particular card. I think the rest of them are going to be good, and I encourage you to all piss all over Luis Neri all week, because I'm going to. I plan on being on Twitter all week and just shitting all over him, because I think he's a scumbag, and I hope Payano beats the piss out of him, just absolutely bludgeons him to pieces.
Neri's going to smash him into oblivion. Gabe agrees. Neri's going to smash Payano into oblivion.
Well, I hope you're wrong, Steve. I hope you're wrong.
I agree, but you agree with me, though, don't you? Neri's going to smash him into oblivion. 2 or 3 rounds,
I
I
don't
think.
see it really going any other way, but I think we know it.
Live in hope. Live in hope. As for the main event, Andy, finally on to you. I think Keith Thurman's going to win. I agree with Gabe about the experience. Pacquiao's seen it all. He's seen these styles, but can the legs, the arms respond like they used to? Can he sustain it? You know, against Broner, he's in against a guy who doesn't throw many punches. He was able to sort of shoe shine to an extent. I thought he won the fight fair and square. But against Thurman, I think that unless he hurts him seriously, Thurman, as I said, the size might just be a bit too much. The jab, bringing the right hand over the top. I do expect Thurman to win. I'm not sure that this version of Pacquiao, after all the years of wear and tear, the body can necessarily respond to what the mind's telling him.
Yeah, I just pulled up that card there. Actually, I'll get to the Pacquiao fight just a minute, mate. But Caleb Plant, Mike Lee might be okay. John Molina Jr., man, how the fuck's he still getting opportunities? I mean, I remember when he fought Broner and stuff. I thought if he could just uncork the power just like one time, just would beat ice that prick, and he couldn't do it. And then he goes in and beats Ruslan Provodnikov, because I just scared did they give him a chance in that fight. Luis Neri, I agree with Gabe, by the way. I'm fucking fed up with him. You know, the WBC bent over themselves trying to kind of get this guy back into position and stuff, and I agree with you, Steve, as well. I think he'll knock out Payano. I'll go maybe 4 or 5 rounds. Ugas, I'm glad that he's getting another opportunity, because I think pretty much everybody agreed that he got maybe slightly hosed against Sean Porter. And you can just know as well as fighting Omar Figueroa, you just know again another guy of Mexican descent fighting a WBC eliminator. You just know if it's a close fight, he's getting the nod. And he's got one of the most underwhelming careers and the most irrelevant zeros or O's he's got in his record, man. He's just fucking shit. Can't be doing with him. Burns beat him, by the way. One thing, Steve, I know your man F.I. Jagbaz's fighting on the undercard as well.
I've gone cool on him, Andy. I wasn't that impressed with his last couple of forms. I think he might be a bit stiff.
But the thing is, mate, this might be an interesting fight to watch. Ali Demirezian, the guys from Turkey. I actually seen him in his last fight against Adnan Redicevic. Decent fighter, but he's a bit like Andy Ruiz, by the way. No body beautiful, but decent, competent fighter. And decent amateur as well. Back in the day, he actually got beat off Filip Hrgovic back in the Rio Olympics and stuff as well. I think it might be in the quarters he got beaten. I think so. So it might be an interesting wee fight to kind of keep an eye on that one. Actually, I Jagba against Demirezian. As for Pacquiao and Thurman, I've been reading some interesting comments actually over the course of this week and stuff, and it seems to be kind of festering on the side of Pacquiao taking damage to the point whereas he might have to get punched out the sport. You know, Ron Borges, for example, he's been mentioning like Adonis Stevenson situation. Even Zab Judah, that got mentioned as well at one point. I don't think it will happen, actually. No, who knows? But for what I've seen of Pacquiao in the Broner fight, he's still got a fair bit about him. I think he's still got a relevant bout of speed. I think he's going to have problems with Thurman's movement. I think I can see Thurman trying to box off the back foot, be a crab movement, and just try and pot shot. He should try and make his size advantage count, especially after the rehydration and stuff. He should be able to kind of step up to Pacquiao and just kind of bang it out with him in the pocket. But, and it's a big but actually, what is Pacquiao's power like, or what's it like at this point? Can he hurt Thurman? I don't know. Can he tax the body? Probably enough to hurt Thurman to get him to back up like he did against Collazo. I'm not too sure. But I do know, I still think Pacquiao's got enough about him to win it on points, on activity, experience, and speed. So, and plus as well as he is a tricky southpaw as well. So maybe the straight shots might bother Thurman. I don't know, but at this point, there have been right over the course since this fight's been announced that for some odd reason I've favoured Pacquiao all the way through. I just think his experience, the all-time great that he is and stuff like that, he'll find a way to win the fight, I think. And I don't think Thurman is as big as Jeff Horn after rehydration as well, so I can see it not being as a heavy weather, brutal fight. So I'm going to go Pacquiao on points, somewhere along the lines of like 115, 130, 116, 112. But I will say this, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a close fight to see Thurman get the shade, because PBC really need an outbreak fighter or a star. And someone beating Pacquiao might do that, but Pacquiao's also named as one of the promoters on the card as well, so who knows?
Yeah, the opponents are lining up for Pacquiao. Amir Khan said on Friday night he fancied to go Jamal James as well. Pacquiao would beat both of those, wouldn't he? Khan, we couldn't really gauge for the Billy Dib fight because Dib was obviously a career featherweight, super featherweight, moving up, short notice opponent. Don't blame him for coming out of retirement and taking the fight just briefly, but you don't know how much Khan's got left. And if Pacquiao puts in a solid performance and beats Thurman, which I don't think he will, then obviously have to tip a hat and say he's still got a bit left in the tank. Shout out to Spartacus the Great in the chat. He's finally solved the conundrum, the Rubik's Cube that nobody cared about. It wasn't Conceição, it was Patrick Teixeira. That's the guy I was trying to think of. We finally got there in the end. He fought Curtis Stevens in 2016, got blasted out in the second round. He has come back since, but that's who the guy was. Patrick Teixeira. Boxing Kingdoms jumped in with the question live: could the respective winners and losers of Thurman Pac-Man and Spence Porter fight each other in the fall of 2019? Why not, Boxing Kingdom? Why not indeed? They're talking about Spence Porter being a pay-per-view fight. This is a pay-per-view fight. Yeah, agree. The winners could hopefully fight each other in the fall. We know that Al Heyman is the best promoter in Boxing Kingdom, so he will sort out the fights for you. Andy, you're unmuted, so let's get over to London. Cheers. On the final piece of interest of the weekend. Dillian White against Oscar Rivas. Lawrence Okoli, according to BoxRec, hasn't got an opponent on the undercard. I really don't know. Chris Billam-Smith, 9-0, going on against this Riak Poore. I haven't been impressed by Riak Poore, but he seems to have one hell of a dig on him. I picked Tommy McCarthy to beat him, knocked him out, beat Sam Hyde when he was getting beaten, came from behind. It was possibly an eye injury or some kind of a cut. He gets the job done. Billam-Smith was being well talked up by Barry McGuigan at one point, although Barry McGuigan once said to me that Conrad Cummings, before he turned pro, would beat Chris Eubank Jr. and Billy Joe Saunders right now. So just saying, just saying. Charlie Duffield as well. Dave Allen, David Price for pantomime value. Derek Chisora against Spilka. Tell me about the big one, though. Dillian White against Rivas. We don't really know about this Rivas, Andy. He came out the blue for me when he fought Bryant Jennings. I know Frank Warren said that, Rivas was losing 11.5 rounds against Jennings when he got caught. He wasn't. I thought it was a pretty close fight. I can't remember at the time who I had winning. But Rivas got the job done, knocked him out. So he might be dangerous late, Andy. Finally getting to the point. Dillian White struggled with Joseph Parker. So this could be a potential banana skin late on.
No, I don't think so. Rivas just came right out of the blue, actually, with the Jennings win, in my opinion. I think it was I won't say it was a shock, actually, especially to stop the guy. I know I've not always been kind of like, kind to Jennings to a certain point. I've always said he was a kind of part-time fighter, which he was. The build up the Klitschko and stuff. He was, I think he worked in a bank or something like that. I'm not too sure, but so for him to kind of come in there and kind of stop Rivas, it was a wee bit of a statement because Jennings is okay boxer and stuff, but he's a small heavyweight Rivas, and to be fair to Dillian White and stuff, all trolling aside, and that he seems to have decent game-ending power by the way, in both hands. So I think I could probably see White getting to him. I'll probably go around about 8 or 9 rounds, and he'll stop him actually at some point. Which, by the way, I don't know if it's still the case, but obviously we've not had the announcement of Lomachenko Campbell yet. But how's the ticket sales going for this fight? Because the last I heard, there was only 3,000 or 4,000 had been sold.
They're saying in the chat 7,000, which is pretty decent compared to what I was hearing. The same as you. Originally, they were saying 2.5, 3.
2.5, 3. Well, I think GD Sports will be handing out a lot with their trainers. Not sure
They say
this week
7.
as well,
The chat Andy says that they're up to about 7 now. They think. I think it was Mike said that.
Aye.
It could be year of the Scousers, you know, for Big Pricey. This is our fucking year, mates. Could be Big Pricey knocking out Papi Della pay-per-view.
That'd be interesting.
Think about it. The Scousers, they won the Champions League. Steven Gerrard got a good solid second place. That's like winning the Champions League for them. It could be the fucking time of the year for Big Pricey. Come on, we get the suit back out.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Andy. They might have to go back to Big Pricey if Dillian White were to lose. Danny Young again in the chat saying, "What would happen if White lost to Rivas?"
Well, yeah. I mean, what would happen? Well, Rivas jumped Shakur, doesn't he? He's an automatic contender for a world title shot. Which, by the way,
a rematch.
A rematch. Oh,
any rematch, Aaron, it'll be a rematch.
Then he start.
Again.
Which, by the way, can we just say something? I did read during the week that Rivas has had a 3-month camp for this fight, so maybe a live dog for a wee bit. But I just think the size is telling, and maybe the lack of power for Rivas is going to be also telling. So I think I'm going to say I'm definitely sticking with White stoppage, 8, 9, 10 rounds.
I actually agree with Andy, everybody. I know I was sort of playing devil's advocate trying to say about making a case for Rivas, Gabe, but I think, I have no idea. I don't know what to make of Rivas. Against Jennings, I thought he did okay, and the fight was relatively close, as I said before. He came on and stopped him late, but we're talking about Jennings' biggest win. Before that, Rivas hadn't fought anybody, and now Jennings has just lost to another prospect in Joe Joyce. So we know what Jennings' level is. So we're basing Rivas' best win, Gabe, against Bryant Jennings. So how good is Rivas? I think that we could find out here that Rivas actually isn't that good. I'm not saying he's terrible, but he might not be as good as people think. And Dillian White, Gabe, I think could ice him in about 6 or 7 rounds. It could just brutally end all of a sudden. Left hook, bang, see you later. What do you think, Gabe? Don't get too excited, Gabe. White against Rivas, come on. Going once, going twice. You there, Gabe? Can you hear me, Rob?
I can hear you, dude.
Ah, good. It's not me then. We'll get back to Gabe in a minute. He's obviously been kidnapped or something. You've already talked about White against Rivas, haven't you? What about on the undercard then? Look at a few of the fights. Like I said, it's not great fare. You've got Papi Della pay-per-view. You've got Derek Chisora as well against Artur Spilka. Apparently there's a bit of beef between them two. Derek Chisora sent out a bit of a message to Spilka, Rob. It's a bit harsh, but listen to this.
You're a fucking bum. You're a fucking asshole. I hope you fucking die.
That's a bit rough, isn't it, old Artur Spilka?
Spilka, the most interesting thing I said before about Spilka is that he fought Joe Joyce, the bare knuckle Joe Joyce, before as an amateur. And I suppose he was in the Wilder fight before he got absolutely plastered. I couldn't give a fuck about that fight. Another credit to Derek Chisora again. While I'm giving out credit this week, he's managed to earn so much money. He's still hanging around the place, getting himself fights, getting himself on pay-per-view cards, and doing the business. You know, that Takam fight, he's dining out on that one now for another while. Like, do you know what I mean? He's still dangerous. Derek Chisora, roll him out again. Like, is it pay-per-view material? Absolutely not. But, you know, I watch it, like, somehow. Price versus Allen, man. I don't know. Like, I think David Price go really hard, Dave Allen. Like, although I favour Dave Allen.
Yeah, I think Allen's going to stop him in about 8 or 9 rounds, you know.
I think Price will inevitably blow the gasket. Unless Pricey's mindset is completely changed and he comes into the ring and he's just like, fuck this guy. Who is he? And just unleashes, like, it lets his hands go. Like, it doesn't get that, like, rabbit in the headlights look that he just tends to get when things just start. You can just see it unraveling from ever since Thompson. It ruined him, like, absolutely wrecked him. He never got over it. The remnants of that are always there. Like, so you'd expect if Allen can put it on him, he might be able to bring that out a bit. But, you know, Price might be like, fucking Dave Allen, come here, you. Straight, left, right, down the middle. Like, and that could be all she wrote because we know at least he can punch. You know what I mean? So... But I wouldn't like to see him get hurt at the same time. I think he's, you know, he probably should have retired by now. Like, it's not, you know what I mean. But I mean, if it ever happened for David Price, it'd be a bigger story now than the Cinderella Man, like, because he's fucking been knocked out so many times, like, and written off. But like, at the same time we could turn the lights out on Alan. So that is an intriguing fight from a bizarro point of view, which we seem to be getting more and more of in 2019. But not a pay-per-view event, like, but you know, some interesting talking points, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll watch it on Saturday night. I'm quite looking forward to it. But yeah, it probably shouldn't be a pay-per-view. The Boxing Kingdom in the chat says they're hoping for the Polish population to come out for Artur Szpilka. I know there was a guy on the undercard last night in the BT Sport. We didn't see him on the TV, but he's maybe Afghan or Albanian or something. Apparently he shifts like 2,000 tickets, 2,500 tickets. And they were saying on the commentary as well that the place was absolutely rocking. I think it might have been Mickey Helliot who mentioned this guy before, but I'm not sure how good he is ability-wise, but he seems to get them out. I also remember, I don't know if you remember this, Rob, I might have made this up, but about 6 or 7 years ago in the Tala basketball arena, there was an all-Polish boxing show, apparently. I don't know whether this is myth or somebody told me, and they absolutely packed the place out, and there would be a good few thousand to pack that out. And Harry McGavick might have been involved. They had another Polish MC, all Polish fights, and the place was absolutely buzzing. Have you heard about this, Rob, or is it just an urban legend?
I never heard about it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I remember, like, the Polish hip-hop nights used to sell out. They'd bring over, like, a Polish rapper, like, and they'd sell out the Temple Bar Music Centre, like, out the door, around the corner, so it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. And I know from watching, being at the fights around that time in Ireland, that a lot of the opponents brought in for guys, especially on undercards, were Polish doormen or whatever, and a few Latvians. I remember being beside Andy Lee's father-in-law at one of the fights in Limerick, and Mike Perez was on the undercard, and he was fighting a Latvian, and he turns around and he said to me, "Where's he from?" And I said, "I think he's a Latvian," and then Perez knocked him out a second later, and I was like, "Oh, I mean a Flatvian." He really fell off the chair laughing.
Rob, that wasn't the night Perez fought twice in one night, was it?
It could have been. It was the night Andy beat the Argentinian Feliga. It could have been that night.
Oh, no, it wasn't that one, because I wasn't at that one. One night, Mike Perez fought a Latvian, and then he came out 2 fights later and fought again. And I said to Brian Peters, "How have you got away with that?" And he said, "Oh, well, you know, with prize fighter and all that, which was big at the time, I got past the board." And he actually fought twice on the same card, yeah, Perez. That's true,
I remember meeting Peters a few times, and, you know, I don't give a shit if I never go to meet him again. I never liked him. I was in different fighters' dressing rooms, and I see them coming around. He used to remind me of that character, All McGlove out of tape. But I remember saying, like, Bernard Dunn was getting ready to fight Kiko Martinez, and I think I was in Andy Lee's dressing room. He was after fighting on the undercard, and I went outside to the hall, and Peters had come to the dressing room to say to Manny, like, "Come on, you don't want to miss us doing our thing, talking about Bernard's ring entrance." And I walked around Point Depot to get back in because they wouldn't let me go out, because Kiko Martinez walked straight past me to go to the ring, and they wouldn't let me go that way. So I had to walk around the stadium. And by the time I walked around the stadium, the fight with Kiko was nearly over. Like, Bernard was after getting clocked in the first round. Like, and someone was after calling me. I can't remember saying. Someone was after calling me saying to show him the highlights of this Martinez guy before the fight. Dunn's getting knocked out. Like, and then by the time I sat down, he was after getting knocked out. But Peters didn't rub me up the right way. Pause.
Yeah. You're not the first person to say that to me. 2 or 3 people over the years have said they didn't like him, but from a personal point of view, shamelessly, Brian Peters always looked after me well, so I can't say a bad word about him. So there you go, War Brian Peters. Right up there with Al Heyman, in my estimation.
You and Jimmy McGee, man, and Hunky Dory's. Jimmy McGee, when he was alive, he was fucking living. He was living on Hunky Dory's, man. That fella every time, in between rounds and everything. Him and Dave Boy McCauley.
Oh dear. Yes, there's Rob Kelly on with us, episode 331, everybody. Just about to finish up now. Andy Patterson's with us as well. And Gabe, are you back with us, Gabe? Wanted to get your burning opinions on White versus Rivas. The chat are going absolutely mad here. Get Gabe on. Want to hear what he thinks, but he's disappeared. Right. Let's get on to the belly of the weeks before we finish up, everybody. Plenty of nominations as usual. Hopefully the guys will have a few as well. Peter Kepi sent one in for Johnny Nelson. Johnny Nelson thinks White has the blueprint to beat Fury, and that is his bogeyman, and that's why Fury won't fight him, says Johnny Nelson. Hamed has nominated Spokemaster. Spokemaster was talking about the upcoming Liverpool card, I believe it was, maybe White Rivas. Anyway, they were saying it's a better card than what BT is showing on Saturday. Can't believe people think that Gorman versus Dubois is a main event worthy fight. I think he was on the troll there. The irony, says Hamed. Boxing Bet Guru has nominated Jason Gay for talking. He was comparing Megan Rapinoe, the US soccer player, with Muhammad Ali and their political stance. Not going to get involved in that, but anyway, there was a nomination came from it. Good one here from John Evans. I'd like to nominate Mauricio Suleiman for the Bellew of the Week for announcing that Vargas versus Kameda is a unification fight. Mauricio Suleiman tweeted out, WBC World Champion Ray Vargas versus WBC Interim Champion Tomoki Kameda for the undisputed WBC Championship. So they're unifying the WBC titles here. Absolute bullshit. Fuck you, Mauricio Suleiman. I've had enough of you. You're getting bad as the WBA. You see this franchise belt, the likes of Jamel Charlo, whichever one it is, you should be embarrassed being upgraded from interim, the amount of fights that you've had, and the one against Brandon Adams, and this franchise championship's been brought in as well. It's an absolute joke. The WBC, Dan Raphael, I haven't got a lot of time for him, but he used to tweet out all the time, WBC is disgusting. You might remember that, Andy. Well, they're getting as bad as the WBA because this is absolute bollocks, this is.
Steve, I know you're making your point, mate, by punching the desk here as well. I can hear it in the background.
I am.
You're absolutely bang on, mate. I mean, what shit? I mean, I'll put it this way. See if Danny Jacobs had any indication in his mind that he was going to get hosed on the cars or anything like that. Remember that fucking fat prick Suleiman went out for a walk? He's got this kind of thing trending on Twitter at the minute that, you know, the WBC walk for life and stuff like that. And here he is, fucking filming himself, walking down Mexico Boulevard with a fucking Canelo hat on. A week before fucking Canelo Jacobs was thinking to himself, fuck, here we go. Jacobs must be thinking to himself, what chance have I got? So, yeah, I mean, see, this is why I'm saying Bob Arum needs to release a tell-all book. So I'm saying Bob Arum needs a book written, ready to go the day of his death, drops the book, and then tells all stories about his fucking dad and his son just basically kind of carrying on what his old man did. Fucking greed, corruption, fucking creating fantasies and belts and stuff like that. I mean, fucking tin, fucking uranium and fucking silver belts. Pure pish. So, yeah, fuck the WBC.
Well said. It is becoming fanboyism. Gabe's just put in the chat, sorry, I'm back. No need to be sorry, Gabe. We're glad to have you back. You're in the middle of Bellew of the Weeks, by the way. Me and Andy are just shitting on the WBC at the moment.
Hey, that's one of my favorite fucking activities.
Gabe, will we see you walking through the streets of Texas wearing a Canelo hat with a franchise belt on?
Never, ever, ever. Fuck Canelo. Fuck the WBC. Fuck Tommy, for that matter. Fuck anyone who likes the WBC. Fuck the color green.
Fuck Crooks.
Fucks any unified champion that has the WBC belt as well. Everything they've got to do with them, fuck them.
Fuck the Tories.
Well said.
Fuck the police.
Police. The sound of the police. The sound of the beast. Well said. Fuck Rob Kelly's green sweater. Anyway, let's move on, everybody.
It's better than fucking Donny's shirt, by the way.
Hey Rob, do you want me and you up at a wee notch here by about fuck the what?
Yeah. It was funny. I was at an event today for this charity relay walk, and everyone at Wexford gets down with it for cancer, right? So went there, brought the little one down, going around the field like, and the fucking PA system starts playing Simply the Best, and I'm thinking, half of these don't know what part of this song is, you know what I mean? I was thinking they're oblivious here walking around, and I was like, what you call it? The boys would love this down here. Having a big party up the north. I never get invited to it.
Sky was on fire the other night there, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I hear, yeah. They've moved on to ISIS now as well, man. They also have some, you know, always have some targets outside the direct. You know, Scott Sinclair was getting it for a while, but he's not playing that well at the moment, so they've moved on to ISIS.
There's a guy who lives down the road from us. Shout out to Big Mickey Shannon. He won't be listening, but every year around this time, he always has a big, massive fire going with all the pallets and everything. My father-in-law says, "What are you doing, Mickey? I wouldn't have thought you'd be into all that." He says, "No, but it's the only time you can have a big bonfire going and the police don't come round and start telling you environmental health to turn it off."
See that, eh? Just foresight and ingenuity, man.
There you go. Back to Bellew of the Weeks, everybody. Niall O'Connor has nominated Ryan Cunningham. Ryan Cunningham was responding to somebody put a tweet out asking you to name best of all time underrated boxers, blah, blah, blah. He goes through his best of all time, Mike Tyson, underrated, Joe Calzaghe, disappointing, Kevin Mitchell, etc. And he gets to the end, hated, Anthony Small. Okay, fair enough.
Yes.
Sugar Ray Clay Jones Jr. Most potential, Dave Allen.
What? Getting his coke out.
Most potential. Oh dear, there you go. Shout out to him. What was his name again? Ryan Cunningham, nominated by Niall O'Connor.
Well, we know who Ozzy would be voting for if he was on.
Yeah, exactly. Be going for that one straight. Well, I think there might be another Dave Allen one coming up later, but stay tuned, everybody. Harold Anand has nominated Daniel. Daniel said that Ruiz was the mandatory and AJ gave him a shot, so Ruiz shouldn't be calling the shots now. He wasn't the mandatory, says Harold Anand, rightly. Peter Kepi, this is the Johnny Nelson one again. Someone else has nominated that. Often I get people nominating the same one over and over again. Sean Stevenson has nominated BT Sport for calling Brian Jennings. Might be a bit harsh, but there you go. Greg Cross, nomination for Porky Russ for saying it is what it is to end every sentence that comes out of his mouth, most recently on the Helmet of the Month. So Greg Cross, Mr. Boxing Casual, over on Patreon, has nominated Porky Ross for saying it is what it is repeatedly. Yeah, it is what it is. Good leg, you know. Chad Hogan, that's
sounds
Brian
like Love
King.
Island. Porky Ross might get on Love Island. That's all they say on that, isn't it? It is what it is, mate. Yeah, it is what it is. I got a connection with her. Fuck off. When you're in a fucking thing, 2 minutes, got a connection with her. Okay, shut up. Anyway, sorry.
No problem, Rob. No problem. Get off your chest. That's what we're here for. Therapy. Brian King has nominated Jazza Dickens after that he beat Nathaniel May. He said to IFL TV, stylistically, I've got the beating of him. He's talking about Josh Warrington after his IBF Euro title win. Jazza Dickens wants Josh Warrington. So does Shakur Stevenson. They all lining up for Warrington. He's a hard night to work, you know. Cocaine Dawkins. Billy Dibb could have got the disqualification win. Amir Khan's corner stormed the ring before the referee called it. The tell coming in. It's not official. Yeah, good point from Cocaine Dawkins there. He thinks that Billy Dibb should have maybe gone the disqualification card. I think for what he got paid, he probably didn't give a shit, did he? Taylor Mack has nominated Joe Joyce's attempt at a Roy Jones Jr. windmill shot that took about 5 minutes to land. I actually missed that one. I'll have to go back and... No, I probably won't, will I, to be honest, go back and watch it. But if anybody saw it, let me know. Show me a clip. Chad Hogan has nominated John Levy. Quite a few people nominated him. Dubois, excellent, said John. Shame he's got no charisma to go with his obvious boxing talent. He's no Dave Allen. There you go, Andy. I told you it was coming. Daniel Dubois, he's no Dave Allen.
Yeah, it is. He's not a big talker like there's Joe Joyce, for example, and stuff. But at the end of the day, man, what we're paying to watch? People talk shit on YouTube and stuff like that, or we fucking quotes that, or you want to see good fights? Because Dubois, for me, fucking delivered last night, and spades, by the way.
It takes all sorts, it takes all characters. You get some guys who talk shit, you get some guys who say nothing. It's like people who always say, oh, I'm fed up with the beef at press conferences. Why can't they just shake hands? You need a mixture. Sometimes you have guys throwing tables. Sometimes you have guys shaking hands. You get fed up if it was one or the other all the time. You know, people are different.
He's 21-year-old, man. I mean, to be honest, how many people are like so vocal 21-year-old, you know, good chat, good banter, and that, apart from like the odd people and that, you know, you need a right cheeky bastard. He's just not one of the guys. And that. He might come into it as he gets older and that, but he's just, yeah, he is who he is. That's another thing about Porky Russ says. He is who he is.
He is who he is. Snake Hips in the chat. I see the little orange rectangle appearing with my name on it. I nominate Ozzy for ducking Dave Allen this week, says Snake Hips. Okay. We'll put Ozzy on the list then. Andy sent this one to me. Chris Connolly has alerted me to Frank Warren on the Yard versus Kovalev fight. Confirmed for Russia. Frank says, as long as it's not in Chernobyl, swear down he has no shame.
That's about Yard's best chance to win that fight, by the way. Take place in Chernobyl.
I hope in radioactivity knocks out Kovalev.
Aye. Hopefully Kovalev arrives like 3 weeks early and that, you know.
Ends up with 3 ears on the night.
Aye, vomit in the other place.
Kovalev have 3 eyes like them fish out of The Simpsons next to their plant.
I think Yard will be seeing about 3 Kovalevs at the end of the fight, Rob, and not that I want to get dragged down on it, but I don't see much of a chance for the big fella.
I tell you what, if he
fair
does...
ball for taking it, but...
Oh, yeah.
I hopefully he goes out there and just puts it on the line. I didn't want it to be cagey and then like, get iced late. I want to see him go for it.
Now's the time to take it. I mean, if you're going to beat Kovalev, it's going to be now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Even if he came back against Alvarez or whatever, he showed he could punch still. But if you're going to beat him, now's the time. So, you know, fair ball for taking it. But at the same time, you can't not take it if you have to put yourself in that position. The opportunity knocks. You have to go for it.
Can we get Smiddle to set some odds, please, to see if Kovalev wins as to how long it will take for him to fail a drugs test?
And let's not say as well, like, all right, you know, he deserves credit for going to Russia. He had to go to Russia. They tried to get the fight in the UK. Like, you tried to say that fucking Yarde was the A side. for fuck's sake. So he had to go to Russia. So, you know what I mean? But credit to him, he's going. How he fared in the fight, we'll see closer to the time. I wouldn't be optimistic.
No, I agree. Chad Hogan is nominated AFC Centro, talking about Mayweather. Mayweather over Ali. Mayweather is 50-0, never lost, and has played way better boxers than Ali. Says AFC Centro. Okay. Fergie is nominated JB, Jason Burchett. Jason Burchett was defending Eddie's card next week. People might have shit on it, White against Rivas. Jason says, no, this is a really good card, Eddie. Credit. People moaning this has some real battles on it. No journeyman type fights, proper fights. Basham, Riekpore, Duffield, Aziz, White, Rivas, Price, Allen, Delboy, etc. What a card. Buzzing for it. Thank you, Eddie.
Begging for a retweet, that prick, yeah.
I don't know if he got one, but he got 10 likes anyway. Smiggers Titties and also Ben Faruqi nominated this one on boxingscene.com. Charles Martin, I want to be like the LeBron James of boxing.
So that can happen when LeBron James is actually boxing, I take it, yeah.
Oh, that's what Rob said. I don't know about LeBron James. I don't really know who he is. He's like a famous, is it baseball or something?
He is the man at basketball. Or
is he right?
Yeah, he's just right.
Some people try to say he's better than Jordan. I don't know. I don't watch him enough. I don't think he is, but
I don't watch it. I mean, Jordan won like 5 or 6 finals back to back, man. I mean, I don't think LeBron's done that, but he is some player like.
I don't know anything about basketball, but something did pop up on YouTube this week that I watched. There was this Senegalese player playing for the Boston Celtics. I'm remembering this off the top of my head. I could be wrong. Can't remember what his name is, but he's 7'7". Yeah. And he was absolutely dwarfing everybody. He's an absolute monster of a man, this guy.
When I arrived in Riga last January, actually, there's a Latvian player that plays in the NBA, and he's like 7'2". You arrive at Riga airport, there's this big fucking caption on right at arrivals desk, and like I've actually got them standing like measurements. Like fucking guy's huge, like 7'2" or something like that. He is.
That's bonkers. Yeah, 7'7". This guy. Jose Fuentes says Steve Wellings doesn't know LeBron James. Is he Amish? No, but I don't watch the telly, and I'll be honest. I've heard of LeBron James, and I've heard of. Hang on, let me think. Steph, somebody.
Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I've heard of him as well. You see, I'm getting into it, Jose Fuentes. Well, I'm getting out of Bellew of the week. That's all the ones I've got. Sorry, Andy, what are you saying?
Just say tell Jose he's a prick.
Yeah, tell Jose. That's Jason Chukwu under an alias, apparently.
Oh, just there you go. It confirms that he's a prick.
Shout out to Jason Chukwu. Go ahead, Rob.
I've got 2, yeah. I've got one for David Hay for saying that Joe Joyce used the left hand exclusively throughout the fight, meaning he never threw a right hand throughout the fight. And as well as that, Amir Khan for saying with a dead straight face that the fight in Jeddah wasn't about the money.
$7 million.
Did he really say that?
Yeah. It's not about the money. This fight with this featherweight, this retired featherweight, you're talking about in this bizarre country for the pearl belt. I've dreamt as a little boy of holding that pearl belt up in Jeddah after a win over a fighter like Billy Dibb. Yeah, fuck off with you.
Taking the place of what it was, a UFC guy in the first place.
I would have preferred if he'd have done like Mayweather did when he fought McGregor, where he just put a picture up of himself with a fucking balaclava on, just telling you all, I am robbing you now. Right about that.
Any nominations from you, Andy? I'm liking that Amir Khan, and I think that could be a front runner for me, actually.
No, I've no nominated. It's been quite quiet this week, actually.
Yeah, quite enough. Gabe, anything from you? A few Dave Knight. What about Prince Patel? I suppose we could nominate him, couldn't we?
I don't have anything, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, I'm tempted to give it to Prince Patel, but I don't want to give him any more titles that he hasn't earned. Amir Khan for me, I think. Rob, who are you going for? I like that one you came in with late.
Yeah, it has to be Amir. My fight with Billy Dibb was not about the money. Oh, fucking hell.
Nomination for Jason Chukwu as well for getting banned off YouTube. He accidentally uploaded a blue movie to his YouTube account. As you do.
You what?
And that's why you got banned.
Oh, we could speculate for hours on what the title of that one was.
Jason Chukwu, Andy.
He uploaded a porno, did he?
He said he accidentally uploaded a blue movie to YouTube, and that's why he got suspended.
Right. You didn't accidentally upload a porno.
Was he in it? Was he in it though? These are the questions we need to.
I think it was a Yusuf Mack latest release, Rob.
Oh dear.
Chuck who's down with the dog pound. Wow.
A late one from Chuku there, coming in from behind. Right, Gabe, what about you? Gabe, anything from you? Have you ever uploaded any dodgy movies to YouTube?
No, never happened to me.
Come on then, Gabe, who are we going for? Amir Khan for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Khan.
Congratulations. He didn't win the WBC Pearl Belt, Andy. We've got 3 nominations for Bellew of the Week. Do you want to make it a 4 and out?
Yeah, go for it.
Well done, Amir. Congratulations to you. Well, let's finish up then, shall we, everybody? I did have another question from somebody, but I can't find it, so we'll leave it for next week. Thank you for everybody who's jumped on this evening, rapping Rob Kelly, Gabe, Andy as well. And thanks to Danny Young, who joined us earlier. Hopefully get a few more of the boys on next week to review Manny Pacquiao against Keith Thurman and Oscar Rivas against Dillian White. I've been Steve Wellings. Thanks for joining us. As always, we'll speak to you all same time, same place next week. Bye.